He steps to the mic with a boom, ping, ping. Wisdom sharper than a bee's fierce sting. Words like fireflies that light the night. He turns the dark into blazing bright. Boom, ping, ping, the truth takes wing. Milwaukee's voice, let the city sing. Boom, ping, ping, hear the freedom ring. Sherwin's the king, all the airwaves king. That shake the ground, unveils the truth where lies abound. Politics, justice, social streams. He molds the chaos into dreams. No silence here, just the sound of change. Boom, ping, ping, rearrange. Boom, ping, ping, the truth takes wing. Milwaukee's voice, let the city sing. Boom, ping, ping, hear the freedom ring. Sherwin's the king, all the airwaves king. Through the static, through the noise, he amplifies the people's voice. Boom, ping, ping, like a heartbeat's call. He's got the wisdom to break down walls. Yeah. Da, 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 da.
Good morning. Welcome to the program. Today is Friday, September 19th, 2025. At some point, hopefully soon, we'll have a poll up on the YouTube. Andrew's going to get that all sorted out. Oh, look at that. It's already up. It's a basic question. It's fundamental, I think. It is a yes or no. Should be a pretty simple question to answer. Was the American Civil War necessary? And you don't have to overthink it. And I'm using that example because it should be a conflict that is likely the most familiar to Americans. Now, we know about World War II and the Korean conflict, and we know about the Vietnam War. We know about the Persian Gulf War, the War on Terror. Yeah, you know about all of those. But a domestic war that we had right here in the United States where Americans were fighting other Americans, was that necessary? Was that something that needed to happen for the betterment of the country? Did something tangible and positive come out of the Civil War? War is awful. I wish that we could settle our disagreements and our disputes with diplomacy. You sit down with somebody, maybe you go to the Starbucks, have a cup of coffee with them. Maybe you lunch with them. Maybe you go to the Panera Bread. Don't crap on Panera Bread. It's not horrible. There's something there for everybody. They make a fine creamy macaroni and cheese. I do wish that human beings could use their logic and their intellect and be able to do a little bit of compromise. And I know that we can do it because we do it every single day. But sometimes there are differences that are so far apart, like there's this gulf between one side and the other. And when they have exhausted all other options and avenues, sometimes war is in fact necessary. Do you believe that the American Civil War, considering where the country was, and we were not, let's just say, we weren't unified in the direction of the next century of the United States. People didn't know if the entire nation was going to be a slave-holding colony, or if we were going to move in the direction of wage labor and unions. We didn't really know, so we had to hash that out some kind of way. Oh, and then there's the whole slavery question. And if we were to expand the United States for more territory, of course you got to kill the Native Americans, because, I mean, did they need all of Kansas? Like, you know what I mean? Did they need all of the Dakotas? Come on, guys. Did you need Montana is gigantic. There's enough Montana for everybody. Did they need, seriously though, did you need all of Mexico? Come on. It's huge. Give us some of it. Or the Spanish can have it, whatever. If we were to expand the United States, would slavery be permitted? Or was it going to be outlawed? Is it immoral? Is it unchristian, anti-Christian, whatever? Those were fundamental questions. And also, is the United States going to be a collection of independent places that have their own economic modalities? So is Wisconsin going to be a dairy state, an agricultural state? Is the city of Milwaukee going to be a place for industry, or is it going to be slavery? If somebody wanted to come to Wisconsin in 1875 and they ran for office, they ran for governor in 1875, and they were pro-slavery, could Wisconsin then be pro-slavery because our elected governor at the time was pro-slavery? These were all questions that were unanswered, and because there were so many different variables, we had to figure it out. You had to be one nation, not just a bunch of states doing their own independent thing, because that could be conflicting with what another state wants. How can you have interstate commerce if some states are morally opposed to slavery and other states made their wealth and their fortunes from it? There would be some states that would not want to trade nor do business with or travel to states in which slavery was permitted. And the conversations got very, very complicated. So I ask you this very fundamental question, and I hope you're able to go to either youtube.com or open up your YouTube app from your smartphone or other mobile device and cast your vote for the question that we have, which is, even though I wrote the damn question, here we go. Was a civil war necessary? I think it was. I'm going to explain to you why I think that. You may disagree. I have a whole bunch of reasons. I've got rationale, what the war was about, more importantly, what resulted, and how the nation was able to be reborn, to form anew after that war. Very bloody war. 650,000 people, I believe, were killed. That very well may have been America's bloodiest conflict. World War II wasn't a good one either. Vietnam was bad too. I did not support the Vietnam War. I also wasn't born yet. I think when I was born, last troops maybe came home in April of 75, give or take. Other than POWs, I was born in March of 1975, so the Vietnam War was not really something that was in my lifetime. But what I know of that war, didn't really support it. I was always skeptical of the war on terror because there wasn't really anything tangible. I looked at the war on terror as I'm kind of going through American wars that people should be familiar with. I don't know how you use a military apparatus to combat an ideology. Terrorism and using violence to exert your political will, but also was heavily infused with an extremist form of Islam. And I don't know how you bomb that out of people. If anything, you would have radicalized more people into that war. And then it got turned into, or it gained this moniker of being a holy war or a crusade. You don't ever want that because that is a war that you'll never win. But I was always skeptical of weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. I always had some questions surrounding Osama bin Laden because at one point in time he used to be a U.S. ally, and I often wonder, like, what goes wrong if you were a useful ally to the United States when Russia was attempting to invade Afghanistan and we armed the Mujahideen led by Osama bin Laden. Then we got mad at him. He got mad at us. He used to be, his whole family, the Bush family, was friends with the bin Ladens. In fact, did you guys know that the only plane that was allowed to fly in the aftermath of September 11, 2001 were planes that were owned by the bin Laden family? Don't believe me? Go look it up. But I'd expect you guys to know all this stuff. That's not rabbit holy. That is true holy. It's not. So I was skeptical of that war, the war on terror. Because, okay, if we can have a war on terror, humor me for a moment, please. If you can have a war, a physical war, a military campaign against an ideology, then why can't we go to war against racism? Because terrorism is an ism. Well, what do we do, bomb the South? That wouldn't do any good. We'd have to evacuate all the black people. Where are you going to put them? Where are you going to put the blacks? So I didn't agree with that war because I thought it was pointless. It was very expensive, the cost of the military equipment, and then also the cost to help and to assist our veterans. It was a very costly war, and I don't even think that we won anything. The Civil War, though, it had to happen. We could not have formed this nation, which right now isn't the best example of America's best. I'm trying to think of when America was great. Maybe 94. You know, sometime in the 90s, because there was a period of time in my life where I was just like, this is going really good. You're like, you think 2015? Why 2015? I mean, Obama was still here, I guess. Well, Trump made his political entrance in 2015. So if it was 2015, it was like maybe the first couple of months. But I think there was an era where Americans we had divisions. There's always going to be divisions: rich, poor, urban, rural, educated, non-educated, rich, poor, blah, blah, blah. But we were, as Americans, we all kind of had like a common vision. You know, we didn't like bad people overseas. We didn't like communism. Russia was the enemy. You know, Americans had a lot of pride in our stuff. We wanted American-made things. Like, we still kind of like the idea of America because it had not been so heavily exploited like I think it is now. Like, now America is just synonymous with greed and poverty. So I don't know. And whenever Black Box came out with the song Everybody, someone was at 91, I don't know. When techno music was really good and we could go to rave parties all night long. So sometime in the 90s, maybe America was great. I don't know if it's really been so great. But also, we have been overwhelmed with information, and now all the things that we weren't taught, because we were indoctrinated. We were. Our education system did not encourage us to be critical thinkers. Like, here's what happened. George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, Martin Luther King a little bit. America's a wonderful place and it's perfect. And England came and they were very nice people. And Christopher Columbus was a saint. That's how I knew. I don't know when it was when I found out the actual truth about Christopher Columbus, but as I found out more, I was like, oh, this is awful. What else did they lie to us about? So we were indoctrinated through our public education system. And if you went to a private school, you were probably even more indoctrinated because they sprinkled a lot of God and a lot of Jesus in there as well. But once I really started to learn about America, I became profoundly disappointed, but I also was very motivated to try and make this place better. Because we have the raw materials to be a good country. There's just people sometimes are stupid. They do stupid stuff. They do stuff that's unnecessary because of their ignorance and their hate. So we all have to work really hard to extinguish some of that ignorance and hate so we all can get back to making the country good again. If it was not for the American Civil War, we would not have some of the advancements that we've had in military technology, in education, in forming a union, in having a strong federal bureaucracy. And some of you may think that's a bad thing. You need a strong central government, and I'm going to tell you why. Now, we've exploited that and screwed that up too. But on paper, when you write a lot of stuff down about America, like, oh, that looks good. Oh, freedom of speech. Wow, that really looks good. That's going to be a principle that works until it doesn't. So writing down on paper what America could be, should be, and is supposed to be, then the country is fantastic, but we find a way to screw it up. I believe that we need a strong federal government, a strong central government, and I say this because some states, if left to their own devices, are insane. If you just let Arkansas just do Arkansas stuff and not have to adhere to a larger, stronger, central federal government, Arkansas might decide one day on a random Wednesday, I think we want slaves again. Let's just try it for a couple of years. Let's start with the Negroes that's already in jail. So you have to have a strong central government that can check states when they want to do something that is, well, let's just say politically impulsive. And because of the Civil War, we were able to have that. The federal government is going to be like, no. Can't have slavery anymore. No. Can't do that. That's illegal. No. You can't discriminate against these people. I think that the benefits of the Civil War outweigh whatever the consequences were. And the consequences I'm going to put this in a way that may sound crass. This is the year 2025, yes? Okay, at least for the next 2.5 months. All right, thank you, Andrew. I got the year right. I might mess up everything else on this show, but I got the year right. A lot of people died, okay? 650-some thousand if I'm using round numbers, okay? That's awful. But they'd be dead anyway because it's 2025, right? So it's horrible that they died during the Civil War, but they'd be dead now anyway. So might as well die for a cause 160 years ago than to be alive and healthy 160 years ago and have the country split along the lines of North and South, free and slave. Like, none of them would be alive today. So, yes, it's terribly sad that 650,000 people died during the American Civil War, but none of them would have survived to 2025. And I would like to think, other than the Trump phenomenon, some of the people that fought in the Civil War and that died, if they saw how America is far more unified, even though we're always going to have divisions, I'd like to think that some of those Civil War soldiers that fought for the Union will look at America and be, oh, look at the Negroes going to school. Or however they talk. I don't know how Civil War people would talk. Oh, look at this. Gays are running for office. Look at this. This country is more unified. Look at the Latinos and Hispanics coming here to get deported. It's wonderful. So they died for something. Instead of them not being in the Civil War and just living to be, life expectancy was only like 45 or 50. So I think it was worth it. I'm going to take a break. I'm going to come back. I don't know if Americans fully grasp all the positive things that came out of the Civil War. And I'm saying all of that to say this. Stop saying you don't believe in political violence. It's become this stupid platitude that everybody is saying, of course you believe in political violence. If there is an oppressive regime somewhere where a dictator is crushing their people and denying their people rights and killing people unscrupulously, you want those people in that country to rise up and crush that oppressive government. Every war that America has been in has been political. World War II was a political war. That was political violence. The Civil War was political violence. Stop saying you don't believe in political violence. The people, when it comes to being oppressed, should never be passive. And if we keep saying, oh, I don't believe in political violence, then you're saying that someone should completely oppress you because you're not going to fight back. I'm going to take a break, come back. We're going to get into it today. Over here just throwing this stupid platitude around. I don't believe in political violence. Yes, you do. Now I'm going to prove it on The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 FM. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back.
It's The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 The Truth, The Truth app, and 101.7thetruth.com. Coming with straight truth.
Be careful of the decisions that you make and the company that you keep, because that is going to determine a certain consequence. So you don't have to wait to go to prison, or you don't have to wait to figure it out what the consequences may be. All you got to do is look at your decision making and who you allow in your space. If they making wild decisions, wild things don't happen. But you don't get to choose what wild things are going to happen.
Catch the Tory Lowe Show every weekday from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m.
Celebrate the reigning queens of disco with Disco Divas, running at the Bradley Symphony Center September 26th through the 28th. Principal Pops conductor Byron Stripling will lead the Milwaukee Symphony Orchestra and an all-star trio of vocalists in all of your favorite hits from the disco era. Think Donna Summer, Patti LaBelle, Diana Ross, and Chaka Khan, as well as the Bee Gees, Earth, Wind & Fire, and even Michael Jackson. Those silky high strings and thumping bass lines will never sound better as you dance and sing along in your seat to tunes like I Will Survive, We Are Family, I'm Coming Out, and more. So what are you waiting for? Get those sequins out of storage and call the box office now at 414-291-7605 for Disco Divas, or visit mso.org.
This is The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 The Truth, The Truth app, and 101.7thetruth.com.
I think the Civil War was necessary because the nation could not continue on its fractured pathway of free versus slave. And plus, the North couldn't have an economy based on slavery. It would not have worked. Oh, who did this? Andrew, did you do this? Somebody did. No. I forgot that people that watch this show and watch the YouTube can make their own YouTube clips out of my show. Somebody just posted the clip of me twerking yesterday to 2 Live Crew. Hey, everybody, stop that. If I do something that's embarrassing, it's only for people that are watching live. It's not for you to go back and clip it. I have no ass whatsoever. That's an embarrassing twerk. That's not even a full twerk. That's a twerk. All right, let's talk to Alan. I bet Alan can twerk. Alan, you're on 101.7 The Truth. How are you?
I'm doing okay. I'm out canvassing right now, actually, knocking on doors.
Good Lord.
As we're talking.
Has your response been horrible?
No, I got over 100 signatures yesterday. I'm doing it right now. Hey, ma'am, good morning. I'm doing all right. How are you? Hey,
I gotta hear this.
Guess what? Are you happy with our alderwoman? We're doing a recall here. If possible, can you sign this for me? It's for all of us.
Is this for us?
Yeah, for all of us, for First District. We want to just have we got some questions and not being answered, so I need to get 2,600 signatures.
Okay, where do I sign? Right
Okay, right there. You print.
You got
That's your signature. Then your name.
He called him a sucker.
Then our ad. Then your ad.
Where do I sign?
Don't sign that, lady.
Walking in today's date.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
There, you see how we do that? That's how you do it, Sherwin.
All right, well then do that 2,500 more times, sir. You're gonna need more than
You got a
2,600
minute? When I get
signatures.
down here, I'm going to talk to you, okay? About the alderwoman. Okay, believe me, Sherwin, I'm going to be over. If somebody wants to find me, I'm walking up and down 42nd and 41st today.
42nd and 41st and what? Give us another main street.
Between. Yeah, probably. I'll be over by Silver Spring in that area, somewhere in the Thurston Woods area.
All right. Do you
Today.
have other volunteers collecting signatures with you, or it's just you?
I don't trust nobody else but me. I just got off the phone.
What's today's thing?
Today is the 19th, because I got to make sure these are all right. Because as they told me, they're going to probably want to vet all my signatures.
They should.
So, but then again, she told Mr. Well, then again, they said, well, you can vet all theirs too from now on. So this is going to be fun, man. Right there, you just check the city of
Milwaukee.
Yup, Milwaukee. Thank you so much. There you go. And you know what? This is a melting pot here. So, like I told you, Sean, everybody around here knows me. This
Was
is
that
not
a
going to
white
be that
lady?
hard.
Well, that was an older. She sounded
No,
like.
not at all. You're not white, are you? I'm on the radio, Rick. You're not white.
Don't ask the lady if she's white.
I know.
What are you? What are you? You're.
Hispanic.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks.
You thought I was lying all the time, Sherwin. Didn't you?
I need you to not mention my name while you're collecting signatures to recall an alderwoman who I think is doing a
I'm
fantastic
not trying to intimidate you.
Intimidate?
I'm doing a great job, ain't I?
You're not intimidating me at all. It sounds
There you
like
go. I'm not trying to.
you're very proud. Let me be honest with you, Alan. You are grabbing the bull by the horns, and you are taking full advantage of all of your rights within our democracy, and I simply can't be mad at that. If you believe, and if you get enough of your neighbors to believe that the alderwoman is not doing right by you all, you have the obligation to force the conversation and to get your questions answered. And if enough of your neighbors agree with you and your sentiment, then there's nothing I can say about that. I'm proud of people that
There you go.
that get involved in our democracy, because people need to understand how fragile it is. So good luck, I guess.
Very fragile.
I don't think it's going to go
thank you.
anywhere, because you're not going to be able to raise the money. You don't have any candidates. Yes, you'll be able to force an election, which ultimately
I have money, Sherwin, of my own.
Okay, fair enough.
Here's the
but you're
thing
not
with that. I have
Alan,
money.
But you don't have a candidate, and you couldn't run. And
But I
win.
can fund a candidate. If I have to, I will fund their campaign.
Now,
first.
whatever
I'm not worried about
whatever
that.
money you have, and I don't doubt that you have money, it's going to cost the taxpayers of the city of Milwaukee more for there to be an election in which Andrea Pratt can raise unlimited amounts of money during a recall.
No,
We're
I
gonna
don't
have
think
to
I don't
print
think she can
ballots.
raise more than me.
Okay.
We got family money, my friend. I really don't think she can raise more than me. She will even tell you that.
You'd put 150
that's
or
a fact.
Alan, you would put 150 or $200,000 into a recall race that you're going to lose to prove a point to get your questions answered.
If I have to, I will. I was going to buy this building for cash. Yeah, I will. Hey, man.
I got to hear one more.
You don't live in the first district, do you? Do you live in the first district?
53218, I do.
Is that
no,
who's your other person?
That's not the first district.
Oh.
Huh?
What were you trying to do, get signatures?
Yeah, we're going to try to do a recall.
I'll be over here every day. It's my route. So
Okay, yeah, this is my mail lady who knows me, too. And what are you? You're not white, are you?
No.
Stop asking people if they're white.
Wait till I talk to the boys on the corner. Want me to call you back when I'm talking to them?
Actually, yes, I do.
Okay, you think I'm lying, Sherwin. Are you starting to believe that people know who I am?
We know who you are. We love you.
No.
Yeah, we love you over here.
This ain't about...
I've been up here 3 years.
Thanks, honey. This ain't about me, Sherwin. It's about my neighbors and these developers. That's what it's all about. They disrespected us. They disrespected my neighbors. They discounted their wishes.
Why don't you take it up with the developers?
I have already. They hide. They won't take it up in the real world. They just keep pushing it forward. I've done everything I can. Everything from every legal option that I have, I've used. I can't get any I can't get out of this jurisdiction because they won't let me exhaust my remedy. They won't hear you. They schedule hearings like at the ethics commission and then don't show up or can't reach a quorum. I mean, this stuff is not pretend.
How close are you to the next house? Because are you going to like homes and knocking on people's doors at their homes?
Yeah, I'm doing everybody up and down the whole neighborhood. I'm going to do not today. I can't do them all, but I'm going to do.
All right.
I'm going to try to get like 4,000 signatures by the end of the month. I should have 500. Today I'll have a couple hundred.
Okay, how close?
As long as people,
I want to hear
everybody
one
will sign
more.
my thing.
I want to hear you knock on one more door. I want to hear one more person. How close are you to the next house?
Well, these are coming out, but I don't know if they want to knock again. Let me. You don't care, right?
I mean, kind of, but I'm fascinated at the same time. I want to hear your pitch.
Okay, watch. But these people I know. All right. I go to every house. Now, there's some people just don't around here don't answer the door.
Okay, most people
And
probably
there's a couple just don't. Well, there's one or two neighbors who don't like me because of the makeup of our family when we're.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to go over there and try them now. Thank you. Oh, she's at work right now? There's usually somebody home. Let me do the guy here. All right. You have a good day. People don't believe me. When I tell them that I'm doing this or that I live around here, they don't believe that I know every one of you. And everybody might not approve of, like, there's people don't like my way. Hang on. Here we go.
Uh-oh.
All right. You want to hear one?
Yeah. Give us a live one. Come on. Let me hear.
Here's a live one.
Yeah, come on. Let me see.
Because they can hear me, because this is how I talk when I'm outside. I'm not shy.
I believe that.
And believe me, they want to debate. I don't think that she'd really want to debate me in a public forum. Because as good as your person is, that woman I spoke to you about, I'm as good as her. I would not want to debate DT, I don't think. That's her name, right? Yeah, she's good. Right. So are you.
Thanks.
Hey, good morning. How you doing?
Here we go.
You know what I'm doing? Here, I'm doing, we're going to do a recall. I need 2,600 plus signatures for this.
I see that thing, idiot.
Yeah, well, what did you say?
Idiot.
No,
Idiots that think they can come into this neighborhood and do that without anybody knowing about it. That's crazy.
There you go. Now there's another neighbor. This guy's, he's about my age. He's a white guy. And if your wife is home too, just do everything. He's got to be on the QT because they're going to come at me probably about every signature.
Beth is on her walk right now.
That's okay. I'll stop back. I'm on the radio with somebody. They just wanted to hear another one. Actually, a black radio host who I listen to. Oh, I like the guy. I love the guy, man.
Should I be offended by that?
You know why I'm doing this? Huh?
Alan, continue your conversation. Well, thank you. Keep us posted on things. In fact,
I will. I'll call you. Want me to call you back later? Tell you how many I get today?
Actually, yes, I do. In fact, call us every day.
Okay, before noon. I'm going to go out till around noon.
All right. Good luck out there doing what you're doing. All right, then. I want to do a segment with him every day, and I want to name it The Recall with Alan, because I actually want to hear like the real-time progress that he's making, because I had no idea that neighbors were that upset about whatever this development deal was and building housing on the schools. You know what it is? I bet it's the people in the immediate vicinity of where that development is taking place that disagree with it, especially if you're talking to older homeowners. I could see them not wanting new people, especially low-income housing being built where a school once was. But I find it fascinating. You know,
the best thing to happen here is if we can get the older woman on the show and jump Allen with her on the show.
That's probably going to happen at some point. But I also don't want to. I don't think this recall is a good idea because of the rationale that he gave yesterday. This was an issue that took place under a previous elected official. That elected official is no longer in office, and because whatever issues, problems, and questions the community, that neighborhood, that district had, they're just transferring all of that over to the new alderwoman. And I thought that whatever issues they had should have been brought up in the campaign. And maybe it was, and maybe it's all the contracts are signed, and maybe we're too far gone, and maybe it's out of the hands of that particular alderperson, but I just don't think that the recall is a good idea. At the same time, I like when people exercise this democracy. And if you disagree with your elected officials, and there's enough of you that disagree, you absolutely can force a recall. I just don't see the rationale as being strong enough, because one thing we don't want is people get elected to 4-year terms. Somebody doesn't get their phone calls answered. Oh, let's do a recall. It can be very exhausting. So I guess we'll see what happens in the saga. You were listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 FM. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back.
More of The Truth with Sherwin Hughes is next on 101.7 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Wisconsin is as hard-working of a place as you'll ever find. There's a sense of pride, community, and work ethic that's second to none. People here are tough, but even the toughest among us need help after a serious accident. At Gruber Law Offices, we won't stop fighting for you and your family. We've been here and will continue to be here for as long as you need us. Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all.
Hi, I'm Brittany Miller from Big Frog Custom T-Shirts and more. Custom T-shirts, sweatshirts, jackets, hats, you name it, we can do it. Big Frog Custom T-Shirts and more is family-owned and all about celebrating life's big moments. Maybe it's a milestone birthday, a celebration for your child's first goal, or that work fundraising event. We are everyone's printer. No minimum orders, affordable designs, and help straight from me and our team. We're the one-stop shop for all your custom needs. Start your project today at bigfrog.com/Mequon.
It's time for Truth Takes, a thought-provoking commentary on the award-winning 101.7 The Truth. Here is Dr. Ken Harris with his truth.
Juneteenth signifies the occasion in 1865 when the final enslaved blacks in Texas were notified of their liberation 2.5 years subsequent to the Emancipation Proclamation. The moment when 100% of victims of slavery finally recognized their liberation indicated the principles of the U.S. Constitution came to be universally applicable. This represents a success for Black Americans and a subsequent and significant point in American history, highlighting the nation's alleged dedication to liberty and justice for all. The recent verdict in the murder of Sade Robinson serves as a reminder of the enduring evils and oppression we still face. Despite independence, numerous blacks still encounter exploitation, and they are masquerading as freedom. Commemorating Juneteenth compels us all to acknowledge these realities and compel the nation's past and promote a truthful national narrative. Juneteenth, along with the murder conviction of the disgusting individual who killed Miss Robinson, serves not merely as a celebration, but also as a summons to action. Remember this history in your daily discussions and interactions. If Juneteenth caused the conflation of liberty and justice for Black America, I say one death represented by the murder of Miss Robinson is a denial of liberty and an injustice to all of Black America.
This has been Truth Takes on the award-winning 101.7 The Truth. Listen to The Truth in the Afternoon with Dr. Ken Harris, weekdays from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. It's The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
People sound insincere when they'll have their thoughts and their feelings about something, and I think that people are holding back how they actually feel. Well, not everybody, because some folks are, and I don't agree with anybody getting fired or having other repercussions or consequences for expressing how you feel. Like, all of this stuff is protected speech, and for some reason, Americans have forgotten that. When the right side of the political spectrum, when they promote that they are crusaders for free speech and how much they hate a cancel culture, now they're the ones. Do you see how everything is flipping? Is this a good example of how there was a period of time where the right said whatever they wanted to say about whoever, and the left would get real mad and want to cancel everybody, and they were against that? The right side of the political spectrum, they were crusaders for free speech, and I bet there were probably conservative talk show hosts and cable news shows that probably had in their title or in their theme, we're crusaders for free speech. Alex Jones was probably one of those guys. Now, Alex Jones is insane. I think he got sued for $1 billion. But he was a crusader for free speech. We may not have liked what he said, but the Constitution allows people to say it. You can say poorly timed speech. You can tell bad jokes, even hate speech to some degree. You can say who you hate. You can say what you hate. You can say that you hate black people. And that's protected speech. Like, you shouldn't lose your job because you say you hate black people. You don't have to like black people. We think for some reason everybody has to like us, which is insane because some of us don't like some of us. But do you see how the conservatives are now the Karens, and they're crying and complaining because their guy got killed, and now they want people getting kicked out of school? You got college students that are being kicked off a campus. People are losing their jobs because of this. Just like the parties flipped on this issue, there was a period of time when the left, when they were canceling everybody, when the left didn't want you to say certain things that could be considered harmful or hurtful to other groups, it was the left that wanted to stifle free speech. Now it's the right. The parties have flipped. Just like the Democratic Party prior to the Civil Rights Movement was the party of segregation, and now it's the Republican Party. Do you see? This one flipped right in front of your eyes. From the left being the party of cancel culture and trying to curtail people's speech, now it's the right. The parties and their sentiments can flip, and this is one that we need to take note of because we still have folks running around saying, oh, Sherwin, it's the Democratic Party that was a party of slavery. Correct! And then they flipped. And then you have people say, oh, no, Sherwin, it's the lefty liberal progressives. They're the ones promoting all the cancel culture, and they're the ones trying to stifle people's free speech and free expression. Then the parties flipped. Now it's the right that's trying to cancel every damn body. Just want to make note of that. We put a poll up on YouTube, and I'm kind of shocked at what the numbers are. I was expecting it to be more like the poll results of yesterday's question. Is Sherwin pretty? Yes. Is Sherwin pretty? Yes. The Civil War seems to be a little bit more polarizing. So it's 70-30. But I'm curious if anyone who voted no, the Civil War was not necessary. What's your rationale? And I won't attack you. I won't ambush you. But if you think that America should have continued on that path, on that trajectory, where new states coming into the Union could have had the option to be slave-holding states, and we would still be, at least the southern United States, would be slave-holding colonies, subjugating human beings and torturing human beings and selling human beings. Basically, it was human trafficking on steroids. For those of you that think the Civil War wasn't necessary, why? Because diplomacy had been exhausted. It was the South that said, we want to form our own country. And we're taking all these Negroes with us. You're not getting them back. They're ours. It wasn't the Union that said that. The Union was like, hey, you guys, stop buying and selling and killing and raping people and hanging people and lynching people, and stop saying that people are not actual human beings. And by my God, let them vote. And the South was like, no, they ain't going to vote. They might vote for one another. And then they're going to get a Barack Obama. No way. So it was the South. So I'm wondering, are there some Confederates amongst us who are voting in the YouTube poll? I'm just curious. This is all for intellectual discovery, if you think that the Civil War was not necessary. Now, I'm going to get to some details. I got so many. There were some positive results and changes to this nation that came out of the Civil War that I was totally unaware of. I got like 2 pages worth of stuff. I believe that it was necessary, but I'm also making a larger argument that sometimes you have to have political violence. What do you think the American Revolution was? Just curious. It's political violence. The Boston Tea Party, Andrew, that was political violence. They threw a bunch of tea in the Boston Harbor. If you think about that, because the tea was taxed a lot, and then the king was getting all of the tax revenue from, I think we grew the tea, but the king taxed our tea and made us pay taxes to him on our tea. But if you throw a bunch of tea in the Boston Harbor, don't you just turn Boston Harbor into a big glass of iced tea? Just have some sugar and just, well, there's all this tea in the harbor. Does anyone have any fine granulated sugar? Sugar cane picked by slaves in the South? Slavery sugar. It's sweeter than most. It's probably a slogan. Slavery sugar. It's sweeter than most. That's not funny. All right, I'm going to take a break, come back. I'm going to start getting into the details. And maybe some of the people that voted in our YouTube poll, which if you go to youtube.com or open up your YouTube app from your smartphone or other mobile device, search 1017 The Truth, and of course hit subscribe. You'll be able to vote in our YouTube poll. Was the Civil War necessary? 70% of the people responded yes, it was necessary. 30% responded no. For those of you no respondents, I would invite you to continue listening to the show, because I'm going to illustrate and demonstrate some of the real positive, tangible, and sometimes little-known benefits to the Civil War. But let's be clear. If you're one of the 70% that said the Civil War was necessary, you do believe in political violence. If you believe that the United States should have broken away from England and formed its own nation, you believe in political violence. If you believe that the United States should have gone after Osama bin Laden and tried to extinguish the war on terror and avenge people that were killed on September 11th, you believe in political violence. So stop saying that you don't. Now, the circumstances have to be very specific. But most positive social changes, we celebrate Bastille Days. In fact, Bastille Days, when we celebrated here in Milwaukee, is my favorite summertime festival. The French people got very mad. And Marie Antoinette, she was a white lady that wore one of those big wigs and a bustier. Why do all the old-time people dress like Madonna? She had her breasts were all, oh, let them eat cake. And I think they cut her head off. But no, revolution is political violence. If the people are being subjugated and oppressed by a leader, by a tyrant, by an authoritarian, you got to take the leader out. And then you have a happy democracy. So yes, we believe in political violence. Stop saying that you don't, because it's literally how this nation was formed. When I come back, I'm going to talk about the tangible and sometimes little-known benefits of the U.S. Civil War, which I believe was necessary. And it was a political violence theater. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes. Will be right back.
This is The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
From the biggest stars to the greatest moments, Behind the Bucks is Bucks history like you've never heard it before. It's all on Behind the Bucks on the Bucks Plus audio network. Behind the Bucks is presented by Gallagher, your trusted insurance broker and HR and benefits consultant. Available now on bucks.com/plus, the Bucks app, the new ESPN Wisconsin app, and wherever you get podcasts.
It's 1017 The Truth's Dr. Ken Harris for Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. When a customer chooses Pella, one of the most important things to them is honoring that trust and commitment. A lot of customers might have apprehensions about inviting someone out to their home. But when you see the experience and professionalism, you can trust them with bringing your project to life. Their vision is to be the company that people want to do business with. Watching them work from idea to installation gives you the ability to see firsthand the care taken to ensure the Pella experience is complete. When you want long-lasting comfort and reliability, it's easy to trust Pella. Every piece is specifically constructed for you and your home, all always designed with innovation and rigorously tested for quality and performance. The Pella team takes pride in constructing quality windows and doors with meticulous attention to every detail. Order by the end of the month and get 0% interest for up to 5 years. Visit PellaWI.com today.
Server restrictions apply. It's 9/30/2025.
Ready to buy your first house, move into your forever home, or simply refinance? At Associated Bank, they've got you. With the right lending plan and guidance, you can achieve your dreams. Your financial goals are much closer than you think, and Associated Bank is excited to help you reach them. Learn more at associatedbank.com/lending or ask a banker for details. Subject to credit approval. Member FDIC. Equal housing lender.
Fall in Milwaukee, where the air is crisp, the drinks are cold, and the good times are just heating up. Stroll Milwaukee's lakefront and explore its parks as they burst into a kaleidoscope of golds, ambers, and reds. Raise a glass at a beer garden that feels like a neighborhood block party, Milwaukee style. And just as the temps fall, Brewers baseball is turning up the heat. October dreams are made right here. This season, every color, every cheer, every sip, it all comes together in Milwaukee. Craft your perfect getaway at visitmilwaukee.org.
Here's a dose of reality. Driving under the influence of prescription painkillers is just as illegal and just as deadly as driving drunk. In fact, there are nearly 2,000 drug-related crashes every year in Wisconsin. Help prevent drugged driving, and let's achieve 0 preventable deaths on Wisconsin roadways. Driving on pills kills. Sponsored by the Wisconsin Departments of Health Services, Transportation, and Justice.
This is The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Looks like we're moving in a bit of a positive direction. So 29% of you say the Civil War was not necessary. 71% of you say that it was. I don't know how we could have gotten the 13th, 14th, and the 15th Amendments if it was not for the Civil War. I don't know how we would have abolished slavery and arrived at creating a nation of citizens. So citizenship is possible through the ending of the Civil War and the 14th Amendment and equal protection under the law. How would we have arrived at that when you still had a good portion of the nation's geography forming its own nation? Unless you just wanted the South to just be its own country. Like if you were from the North, if you were in Wisconsin, you want to go to Texas, you need to get a passport. But then we wouldn't be the United States of America. We'd be two separate nations. We would not be a single economic power. And also, it would put us in tremendous amounts of jeopardy because if another country wanted to take military action against the North, the South would not help us and vice versa. So I'm just wondering what your perspective is if you think that the Civil War was not necessary. And let's be clear, the Civil War was political violence. The American Revolution was political violence. In fact, all of our wars, Spanish-American War, the War of 1812, the Vietnam War, the War on Terror, the Gulf War, those were all wars in which there were major political disagreements that could no longer be solved with diplomacy. The Cold War was politically violent. East Berlin versus West Berlin, that was politically violent. North Korea, South Korea, North Vietnam, South Vietnam, all politically violent conflicts. They exist, and we do believe in them. In fact, we sometimes cast our votes for candidates that believe in the same themes and forms of political violence that we do. If the American people believe that we need to go to war with a country, it could be an economic war. That's politically violent too. Putting sanctions on countries, banning American companies from benefiting from or profiting from, or not allowing certain countries to get medicines and pharmaceuticals that are made in America. Like, people die from that. That is all political violence. It is how democracies work. And maybe it's a terribly unfortunate thing, but we have left the Garden of Eden, and sometimes you got to roll your sleeves up and you got to kick another country's ass. The Civil War left devastation, but also produced several long-lasting policy reforms, societal changes, and overlooked developments that reshaped the United States forever. First, abolishing slavery. The 13th Amendment permanently outlawed slavery nationwide. That in and of itself justifies a civil war. Citizenship and civil rights. The 14th Amendment, 1868, guaranteed birthright citizenship and equal protection under the law. The 15th Amendment in 1870 prohibited denial of voting rights based on race. We would not have those if it was not for the Civil War. In fact, you wouldn't even have the 1954 Supreme Court decision, Brown versus Board of Education, that outlawed and banned and made unconstitutional separate but equal. That was a clause that was an extension of the 14th Amendment, which we would not have had if it was not for the Civil War. This may be a little controversial, but federal supremacy, the war decisively confirmed the supremacy of the federal government over states, laying the foundation for a stronger national union. I think that's a positive, because if you did not have strong federal supremacy, then some states would have just returned to slavery. If you did not have strong federal supremacy, then some states could still deny people the right to vote, could deny people access to housing and jobs and opportunities. So you had to have a strong central government. And let's be clear, we still can vote for our leaders in the strong central government, but the strong central government has got to act to keep states in check. Because if you let Tennessee do what Tennessee wants to do, Tennessee might go completely crazy and haywire. So there has to be a strong federal government to provide some guardrails and some boundaries when states want to fly off the damn rails. Another benefit from the Civil War, didn't know this one, a national banking system. Standardized U.S. currency and centralized federal control over banking replaced chaotic state banknotes. The Confederacy had their own money. Probably wasn't worth anything. Excuse me, sir. I would like to buy, what were people buying back then? 1/4 pound of cornmeal. That'll be 35 Confederate banknotes. In the real world, that's 11 cents. So having a central money, because the South didn't spend Union money, and the Union didn't want to spend slavery, Southern Confederacy banknotes. The Land Grant Act, the Morrill Land Grant Act of 1862 and 1890 was a result of the Civil War. It created the foundation of the American public university system by granting land for colleges and democratizing higher education. The Pacific Railway Acts of 1862 through 1866 enabled transcontinental railroads, accelerating westward expansion and binding the country together economically. You couldn't do that when you had the Confederate States of America and you had the Union. Now we can have a national system of transportation. Side note, I love taking the Amtrak. It's quiet. It's peaceful. Taking the Amtrak, there's a Hiawatha line that runs between Milwaukee and Chicago and several points in between. There's stops in Sturtevant and Racine and the airport, Glen Beulah, Illinois, and then you get to Union Station in about an hour and a half. You don't have to worry about traffic. You don't have to worry about parking. But here's the thing that troubles me about the Hiawatha. First of all, it's underutilized, and I wish more people would take advantage of it, because I certainly don't want them to cut that or take that away. In fact, I'm surprised that the Hiawatha survived the Doge cuts, because the railways are still, for the most part, federally funded. I've walked on to trains, you have your bag, whatever. Put your bag underneath the train. They have that big old compartment, or you can keep your bag with you. You don't get searched. I have never walked through a metal detector. I've never had to empty my pockets getting on an Amtrak train. Or am I not remembering it correctly? You go to the train station, you buy your $23 ticket, your $46 ticket round trip to Chicago and back, and you have a bunch of different times in which you can leave and which you can return, and you walk on the train. You got to show your ID to a person. Andrew, did you get checked?
I just went through this. There's a metal detector. They do random searches.
So random. Okay. Does everybody have to walk to the metal detector?
Yeah. I mean, maybe if you walk around it, but I had to.
I haven't taken it in some years, but when I first discovered the Hiawatha, then I went to Chicago every other weekend because I got friends and I got family down there. But I just remember I could have contraband on my person. And the conductor's just a nice guy. Hey, welcome aboard, sir. We're going to have a great ride to Chicago, see? Yeah. I don't know why he has a continental accent, but he's a train conductor. He's got his hat on. And you just walk, and yes, Andrew, of course, it's a white guy. But according to Charlie Kirk, if Charlie Kirk saw a black person conducting a train, he might question his safety riding on that train. You go ahead and you rest in peace there, Mr. Charlie Kirk. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be back for hour 2.
Come in with straight truth.
And to make matters even worse, Truth Nation, when you look at more numbers, there have been 59 children shot in the city of Milwaukee, and 40 of the perpetrators were also under 18. They were children. So you have almost 60 young folks here. If you go to a private school, some schools only got 60 kids in elementary school, but you're talking about maybe 3 classrooms in a middle school or elementary school worth of kids who have been shot in our city this year, but 40 of them who perpetrated the act were also children. So you're talking about 100 kids who are ruining their lives in the city of Milwaukee in 8 months. We have to be better, because when you look at the overall murder rate in the city of Milwaukee, Milwaukee makes up about 50% of the total murders in the whole state of Wisconsin. But seeing young folks getting killed and young folks shooting guns is extremely troubling and puzzling to me. It should be puzzling to you as well. It's a troubling reality that we have to face in our community.
Watch all your favorite 1017 The Truth shows by subscribing to 1017 The Truth on YouTube.
The biggest snowflakes out here are always been the white Republicans, who are so gung-ho on protecting the feelings of white kids while they ignore the needs of other kids. If Milwaukee's youth has a problem with fighting, well, white youth have a problem with being destructive and offensive. So it is sad that our government is actively working to de-emphasize educating and uplifting students of color in different backgrounds on college campuses. That emphasis is going to be diminished, and the only kids that will suffer will be our kids. They were willing to hold up the advancement of the state of Wisconsin because they disagree with DEI. What are white Republicans afraid of? Why are they afraid to face the fact that their grandmas and grandpapas were part of a system which purposely held black folks back and failed to give us the access that we deserve? Until these politicians stop ignoring these egregious acts of hate and racial incidents, America can never be great again.
Catch Truth to Power with Kyle Wallace every weekday from noon to 1 p.m. on 1017 The Truth and The Truth app.
Don't you wish your life came with a warning app?
Stop. That dog does not want to be petted.
Just a little heads up before something bad happens.
Move your coffee cup
Conservative.
away from your computer.
It's demographic support, racial tension.
So you can have more control.
Stop.
America.
You're texting your boss by mistake.
Uh-oh. Well, life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. With early diagnosis and a few healthy changes like managing your weight, getting active, stopping smoking, and eating healthier, you can stop prediabetes before it leads to type 2 diabetes. It's easy to learn your risk. Take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Warning, the cap is loose on that ketchup.
Ugh. Don't wait. You have the power to change the outcome. Visit doihaveprediabetes.org today. That's doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its Prediabetes Awareness Partners.
Truth Nation, stand up and tap in. This is 1017 FM, 1510 AM WGKB Waukesha and W269DL Milwaukee, a locally owned Good Karma brand station. This is The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Today's Republican Party opposes big government. It's culturally conservative. Its demographic support is strongest among white voters, and it usually dominates elections in the South. The party's 2016 presidential nominee has been heavily criticized for inciting racial tensions. But things weren't always this way. Over the past 160 years or so, the party has undergone a remarkable transformation from the party of Abraham Lincoln to the party of Donald Trump. To understand how the GOP got this way, you have to go back to when it first came into existence in 1854, just 7 years before the Civil War. There are two parties at this point, the Whigs and the Democrats. America is quickly expanding westward, and there's an intense debate over whether or not new states should permit slavery. The Democratic Party, with strong support in the South, has become increasingly pro-slavery. but the Whigs are divided on the issue. Their northern supporters are really afraid that the growing number of slave states would have too much political influence, which they feared could really hurt free white workers economically. So in 1854, the country is debating whether or not the territories of Kansas and Nebraska should allow slavery. The Whigs can't agree, and the party ends up collapsing. The former Whigs in the North form a new party that will fight against letting slavery expand any further. They call it the Republican Party. By 1860, the Republican Party has become increasingly powerful in the North, enough so that a little-known Republican named Abraham Lincoln wins the presidency. Even though Lincoln promises he won't interfere with slavery in states that already have it, he and his party are still too anti-slavery for the South to tolerate. So 11 southern states secede from the Union, forming the Confederate States of America. The northern states decide to fight to keep the Union together, and the Civil War ensues. The result is a northern victory and the abolition of slavery nationwide. After the war, Republicans begin fighting to ensure that recently freed slaves in the South have their rights. A year after Lincoln's assassination, the party passes the Civil Rights Act of 1866. They fight to make sure that black men have the same right to vote, with new laws and constitutional amendments. But something had happened during the Civil War that began changing the young Republican Party. Government spending during the war made many northern businessmen really rich. Gradually, these wealthy financiers and industrialists start taking more and more of a leadership role in the Republican Party. They want to hold on to power, and they don't think that fighting for black rights in a mostly white country is the best way to do that. Meanwhile, the South is resisting these new racial reforms, often violently, and most white Republican voters and leaders now feel that they've done enough for black citizens in the South, and it's time to emphasize other issues. So in 1870, the party basically gives up on reforming the South, deciding instead to leave it to its own devices. The region becomes politically dominated by white Democrats. Fast forward to the new century. By the 1920s, the Republican Party has become essentially the party of big business. This works out quite well for them as the economy is booming, but not so well when the economy crashes in 1929 and the Great Depression begins. Franklin D. Roosevelt and other Democrats are swept into power and begin dramatically expanding the size and role of the federal government in an attempt to fight the Depression and better provide for Americans. Republicans oppose this rapid expansion, defining themselves as opposition to big government, an identity that the party still holds today. Going into the 50s and 60s, race and the South returned to the forefront of national politics, with the civil rights movement attempting to end segregation and ensure blacks truly have the right to vote. The civil rights debate isn't a purely partisan issue. It's more of a regional issue, with Northerners from both parties supporting it and Southerners from both parties opposing it. Then, in 1964, it's Democratic President Lyndon Johnson who signs the Civil Rights Act into law. And it's Republican presidential nominee Barry Goldwater who opposes it, arguing that it expands government power too much. A massive switch-up takes place. Black voters, some of whom had already been shifting from the Republican Party, convert almost entirely to their new advocates, the Democrats. The white voters in the South, who had been staunch Democrats, start to really resent the big government interference here and in other matters like abortion rights and school prayer. Over the next 3 decades, whites in the South switch to the GOP, which makes the South an overwhelmingly Republican region. By the 1980s, the party begins to resemble the GOP we are familiar with today. Republicans elect Ronald Reagan, who promises to fight for business interests, lower taxes, and traditional family values. As the 21st century begins, America is going through a major demographic shift in the form of Hispanic immigration, both legal and illegal. Democrats and business elites tend to support reforming immigration laws so that the over 10 million unauthorized immigrants in the U.S. would get legal status. On the Republican side, tough on immigration policies and rhetoric became popular. But this ends up costing the Republicans when, in 2012, Mitt Romney loses his bid for the presidency. He gets blown out among Hispanic voters. Exit polls showed that 71% of them voted for Barack Obama. So the Republican Party starts to look more like a party for white voters in an increasingly non-white country. Given these demographic trends, Republican leaders worry that if they keep losing Hispanic voters by that much, they'll lose their chances of ever winning the presidency. So in 2013, some key Republicans in the Senate, including the rising star Marco Rubio, collaborate with Democrats on an immigration reform bill that would give unauthorized immigrants a path to legal status. But there's a huge backlash from the Republican Party's predominantly white base, which views the bill as amnesty for immigrants who broke the rules. This exacerbates the GOP voters' mistrust in their own party leaders, a mistrust that has already been growing for some time. And that makes the political landscape of 2015 fertile ground for a figure like Donald Trump, an outsider businessman who wants to build a wall on the border of Mexico. Trump isn't a traditional conservative, but he appealed to the resentment and the mistrust of party leaders that Republican primary voters had, as well as the strong opposition to growing immigration trends. And even though he was loathed by party leaders, he won enough support in the primaries to become the GOP nominee for president. So now the Republican Party is once again at a major crossroads as it tries to meet the political challenges of the 21st century. It's up to Republican voters and leaders to decide just what they want their party to be.
So that clip is the explanation, a very clear, very concise, easy to follow explanation of how the Republican Party went from the political apparatus of the Union and of being, anti-slavery to the Republican Party that we see right now, in which Donald Trump is an authoritarian leader. There's also a version that explains the Democratic Party's transition from the party of slavery and Jim Crow segregation to the party of, say, a Barack Obama, a Kamala Harris, et cetera, et cetera. And it should be common knowledge to people that the political parties did do that switch somewhere around the 1960s, give or take. It was starting actually prior to that. But just like there was a period of time very, very recently where a similar switch took place, where it was the ultra-liberal, hardcore progressives, they were the ones promoting cancel culture. They were the ones that wanted to curtail people's free speech. If you said something that was mean or insensitive or disrespectful about like maybe an LGBTQ person, like the left would go and cancel you and they would dox you. They would do all those things. And the right, they were the crusaders of free speech. Conservative talk radio, conservative cable news shows. Oh, we're crusaders for free speech. We should be able to say whatever we want. And look, and I respect that. But now you have the people on the right that are doxing people and wanting to cancel people and wanting college kids, which is supposed to be a place for open, free dialogue and political discourse when it comes to protected political speech, which is what Charlie Kirk was doing. Was he or was he not exercising free speech? Do some of you believe that he was killed because he was exercising that free speech? Now, his political party affiliation wants to shut down free speech, meaning they don't want to hear how people actually felt about someone that they deemed as important to their movement. So just like the left was the cancelers, now it's the right. You see how that switched? The Democratic Party and the Republican Party also made a national switch as well. You have to follow politics closely, otherwise it will get away from you. Got some other tangible benefits to the Civil War, and I want to list these because without some of these results that only could have happened post-Civil War, we would not have the country that we have right now, even though this particular moment in American political history is one that is, let's just say, not our finest. The results of the Civil War created a structure and an apparatus for this country to grow and become better. And I say that because I think the Civil War was a good thing, but also the Civil War was a politically violent conflict. Politics was at the center of it. Were we going to be a slave owning, holding country, or were we going to free people, recognize their opportunities, recognize their rights, recognize their talents, and allow them to realize their best potential, or were we going to continue to oppress and subjugate people? If you ask me that question, I'm going to answer it the exact same way every single time. The Civil War was necessary to get the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments. When you think about it, a full 10% of the U.S. Constitution is giving rights to African Americans and giving us citizenship, and giving us the ability to live where we want and to get a job wherever we want. All of that took place because of the Civil War. But you can't sit here and say you don't support political violence. You do. Now, you don't like when somebody gets shot in public. Say that. But political violence started the United States of America. What do you think the American Revolution was? That was very politically violent. The white people in the colonies were like, yeah, we don't like our grandparents, the British. Let's kill them. And I say that because most of the people that were in the colonies were descended from the British. Because look what language we speak. We speak British. Well, it's English, but the same thing. They did not like the taxation without representation. They didn't want to be represented by a tyrannical king over in England. They didn't want to pay taxes. Taxes are political. Wouldn't you agree? They'll put a referendum on our ballot to ask us if we want to pay more taxes for MPS. So taxes are political. Good portion of the Revolutionary War were the people in the colonies did not want to pay these exorbitantly high taxes that were just going to make the king in England rich. It was a political conflict, so you can't say you don't believe in political violence. If you've ever supported American troops in their different military campaigns since the founding of this nation, and I can say that I've supported the military troops. I may not have supported the war. I may not have supported the rationale for going to war, but I'll support the troops because there's a lot of troops that are black people. And black people go to war and fight an enemy that really has never really done worse things to us than white America has, but we go there to try and show how patriotic we are. So I'll support the troops. Do I support those military campaigns and their political rationale? No. But that's also me saying that I support political violence. When the United States goes to war with a country, and sometimes the war is cold, sometimes the war is economic. Donald Trump is waging war on most of the world right now with these tariffs. Tariffs are political. That is politically violent. If Americans cannot afford things, or if American products and services are being favored over other nations' built products and services, that's warlike. That's an economic war. And there are casualties and injuries in an economic war. I just want us to be a little bit more specific when we say, oh, I don't support political violence. Of course you do. It formed this nation. The flag that you pledge allegiance to was formed and created through many different acts of political violence. Now, assassinations they're not nice. They're very mean and just kind of cold. They're awful. But they exist in political violent culture. And America can't get away from what its founding principles are. Why do you think our military is so big? For the hell of it? We got $1 trillion military. We have very large boats. We have submarines, which are underwater boats. And they have nuclear weapons on them that they can launch from deep under the sea. We've got tanks. Got drones, got missiles, we got all sorts of things. Why do we have all of that? To protect American interests from another nation that may disagree with our politics. I had my whole September 11th, I'm not going to call it a conspiracy because I believe that my perspective on September 11th, 2001 was correct. But there's another nation, several nations, that have a particular philosophy in mind. They hate America. They hate American greed. They hate American imperialism. They hate American capitalism. All of those things are political in nature, and they flew planes into our buildings, and they hit the buildings, and the buildings fell down. Except for World Trade Center 7, nothing hit that. It just fell down out of jealousy, maybe? Still don't understand why World Trade Center 7 fell. I guess of all of the weird theories about why those buildings fell in a controlled demolition, World Trade Center 7 is one that I think needs further investigating. However, I said all that to say this. Most violence, especially when it gets to the scale of war, is political. Why do we have nuclear weapons, ladies and gentlemen? We got a bunch of nuclear weapons, and they're pointed at different people. Russia has nuclear weapons, too, and guess what? They're still pointed at us. Side note on that, then I got to take a break. I don't know if anybody would disagree when I say that Donald Trump has a dramatically improved relationship with Vladimir Putin. In fact, he's cozied up to him. He's talked about how much he admires him. He has praised him in public. He's even had a number of secret meetings with Vladimir Putin where Donald Trump's staff wasn't allowed, but Vladimir Putin had all of his staff there, and we don't know the results of those meetings because the American press corps, the White House press corps, was not allowed to follow Donald Trump into some of those quiet and secret meetings with Vladimir Putin. Here's what I can't stand, or what I don't understand, and what I can't stand about that. Russia's nuclear program is designed to destroy America. That's irrefutable. You can argue with that all you want to, but the nuclear weapons that Russia has, and they have more than us, are pointed at American cities. Why would you have any conversation with a leader whose nation has more nuclear weapons than we do that are pointed at Chicago and Milwaukee and Washington, D.C. and Atlanta and probably Miami, Florida and New York and L.A.? Russia still has their weapons pointed at us. So if any conversation is going to be had between an American leader and a Russian president, it's turn your weapons away from us and destroy all of them. If you're not doing that, I'm not willing to talk to you. That is problematic. Because that Cold War that does still go on, and the Cold War is going to exist until Russia decides it doesn't want to have nuclear weapons aimed at America. There is nothing to talk about. If somebody has a gun to my head, which Russia technically does, they can push a button and destroy the United States in 72 hours. Why am I having a conversation, or why am I trying to cozy up to or publicly praise the person that has a gun to my head? This is for me now. This is Sherwin's opinion. Your opinion may vary. That shows how weak and how scared Donald Trump is. He wants to suck up to and cozy up to someone that has a gun pointed to 350 million Americans' head. And I fundamentally and theoretically disagree with that. I'm going to take a break, come back. I do want to talk about how messy Kamala Harris is getting. I'm like, why does she just be quiet? Now she's over here throwing Tim Walz under the bus, saying Tim Walz wasn't her first pick. She's trying to blame her loss on everything. I wasn't even all that upset that Kamala Harris lost because I knew it was a long shot anyway. But for her to now write this book, basically a tell-all book, like Kamala Harris needs a reality show, I just find it's disrespectful to Joe Biden. She said in some other excerpt that was released from her book that, she wanted Joe Biden out of the race, but, she couldn't tell him that because it would have looked like it was biased and all this other stuff that she is now releasing in this book. And I think she's going on a book tour. Kamala, if you need money that bad, if Kamala said, hey, everybody, I went into a bunch of debt, or I just want a lot more money because I ran for president and I lost, we'd have a fundraiser for her. I'd throw her $5. Zach could probably throw a little $3-4. We throw her a couple few million. We appreciated what she did trying to tell us the dangers of Donald Trump in a second term. I appreciate what she did trying to get us to read Project 2025, which we didn't read. However, we should read it now. Now would be probably it's too late, but now would be a really good time to read Project 2025 because as I understand it, now I read some of it now. I ain't read the whole thing, your boy ain't got time to read no 900-page novel, but it's literally unfolding as written, chapter after chapter. So if you are curious as to what is going to happen next in this weird and scary era of American politics, including people losing their jobs because they're speaking freely, then maybe we should read Project 2025. And if you guys want to start a book club where we read Project 2025 and then get together and discuss it over glasses of wine, LaRon said that Roseanne got canceled. When? Zach wants me to go to break. All right. I'm just curious. I thought Roseanne had been canceled. All right, let's take a break. Because Zach said so. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back.
You are listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
From the biggest stars to the greatest moments, Behind the Bucks is Bucks history like you've never heard it before. It's all on Behind the Bucks on the Bucks Plus audio network. Behind the Bucks is presented by Gallagher, your trusted insurance broker and HR and benefits consultant. Available now on bucks.com/plus, the Bucks app, the new ESPN Wisconsin app, and wherever you get podcasts.
It's 1017 The Truth's Dr. Ken Harris for Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. When a customer chooses Pella, one of the most important things to them is honoring that trust and commitment. A lot of customers might have apprehensions about inviting someone out to their home. But when you see the experience and professionalism, you can trust them with bringing your project to life. Their vision is to be the company that people want to do business with. Watching them work from idea to installation gives you the ability to see firsthand the care taken to ensure the Pella experience is complete. When you want long-lasting comfort and reliability, it's easy to trust Pella. Every piece is specifically constructed for you and your home, always designed with innovation and rigorously tested for quality and performance. The Pella team takes pride in constructing quality windows and doors with meticulous attention to every detail. Order by the end of the month and get 0% interest for up to 5 years. Visit PellaWI.com today.
Certain restrictions apply. Ends 9/30/2025.
Life's better with American Family Insurance because we know you love working weekends. If it means working on your dream home, both inside and out. And we're here to help protect those dreams so you can enjoy peace of mind. Save up to 40% when you bundle home and auto. American Family Insurance. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com.
Products not available in every state. Some exclusions apply. American Family Mutual Insurance Company SI and its operating company 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
How much does it cost to talk to Gruber Law Offices after a serious crash? It's free. Yes, free. As in it won't cost you anything to speak with us. Not sure if you have a case? Call our team at Gruber Law Offices today. Your first call and your first consultation are always free. And you'll never pay us a fee until we win your case. If you've been seriously injured, call Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all.
Tired of hearing no from other banks? No to a loan? No to a checking account? Just no? At Brewery Credit Union, we find ways to say yes. Yes to second chances. Yes to rebuilding credit. Yes to helping you save, borrow, and thrive. Work with our credit specialists and move your financial life forward. Brewery Credit Union, Milwaukee's best place to borrow and save. Visit brewerycu.com. That is brewerycu.com. Federally insured by NCUA.
This is The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
You may not like political violence because it's the ugly part of our democracy that nobody wants to have to deal with. But sometimes you have to do the uncomfortable things and the ugly things and the painful things and the bloody things to be able to reap the benefits from them. I don't like working out because I get tired now and my knees hurt and I got to go into like a mental place. I just hate doing cardio because I hate it. It's boring as hell, but you got to do it. I know I'm making a weird comparison, bloody war to doing cardio, but you may not want to do cardio, but you have to do it so you can stay in shape, so you can live, and so you can not die on the air like I did a couple of weeks ago. Sometimes there has to be conflict. When you reach a point in which diplomacy is no longer working and both sides are so incredibly entrenched, sometimes you have to have conflict. There's no way that the colonists were going to continue to exist with England being in control. There is no way the United States could have become a union if half of the nation wanted to secede and form its own country based upon slavery, where the North wanted to be based on technology and engineering and ingenuity. You can't do it, so you have to have a conflict. The American Revolution was a political conflict. It was political violence. The Vietnam War was political violence, extreme political violence. In fact, some of the political violence of the Vietnam War were Vietnam War protesters. Dare I say the civil rights movement were several acts of political violence, and I think that we should have had both. We had to show the violence of white nationalism and white supremacy trying to hurt, harm, and kill, and in some cases murder and lynch black people and other diverse coalitions of people that just wanted to see black people be able to vote. All of those things were political violence, and I think the results of them created a nation that is much more moldable into something positive. Right now, not a good example because we're in very, very bad shape. But I'm pushing back on all those people that say that political violence is terrible. You just didn't want a dude to get killed in front of your face. And most Americans are still sensitive to that because most of us haven't been to war. We had a war on terror going on for 20 years. You know what I'm going to say it was a disappointing thing. Now, I didn't necessarily agree with the war nor the politics involved with it because George W. Bush got us in that war. But because so few of us are in the military and so few of us have families that are in the military, it's something like 1%, give or take, of American families who have someone in their immediate family in active military service. The war on terror went on for 20 years, and the last 10 years, you didn't even hear anything about it. You hear, oh, there was a death in Iraq. Now in other news, Milwaukee is asking for diaper donations for newborn babies. We didn't even talk about it. And Americans were getting killed every single day and being traumatized by what they saw. Our soldiers see horrible things. We here in America, we're protected and we're shielded from all that because we send other people to do the shooting and to get killed and to see heads explode and all the. We don't want to be bothered with that. But sometimes it happens here. And that's what we disagree with. We disagree with it because we're still sensitive to it. What happens to Charlie Kirk happened to a lot of other people in this nation with all different political values and political perspectives. You have to know and understand it is a part of the DNA of your nation. And if you do not like it, good luck trying to go to Canada. Side note, did you know that immigrating to Canada and becoming a Canadian citizen is even harder than it is in the United States? If we had the same immigration process as Canada, you would call the United States of America even more racist. Canada does not want anybody. You got to work your tail off to become a Canadian citizen. Because if you think about it, Canada, on its east and western borders, Pacific Ocean, Atlantic Ocean, and then if you go north, it's just ice. So the only real border that Canada has, because you can only get to Canada either crossing the U.S. border or by boat, okay? And if you're on a boat, they just turn around. They don't want you there. Canada has such a strong immigration policy because they don't want Americans hopping the border and becoming a Canadian citizen. Isn't that something? And I've always considered Canada like America's hat. It's just up there. It's just chilling. You know what I mean? It's just doing this Canadian thing. You got what's in Canada? Drake, Vancouver,
Nickelback.
Oh, Zach said Nickelback is from Canada. You can keep them. We don't need Nickelback. You can have your Nickelback. Let's talk to Al from Sherman Park. You're on 101.7 The Truth. How are you?
I'm doing well here, Sherman, listening to your soliloquy. Do you think that JFK talked to Khrushchev and kept talking to prevent a nuclear war and that was a good thing?
I think there was an attempt at diplomacy, but then there was the failed Bay of Pigs invasion, then also the Cuban Missile Crisis. But the relationship between Nikita Khrushchev and JFK was icy. They fundamentally hated each other. JFK wasn't going and hanging out in Moscow. JFK wasn't trying to have a damn Miss America pageant over in Russia. They were our enemy. They had nuclear weapons pointed at us. And that is where Russia still is today. In fact, they have more nuclear weapons pointed at us now. And that's what I can't understand. And maybe I'm built different. If somebody has a gun to my head, I don't want to be friends with you until you remove the gun. I could see if Donald Trump said, look here, Vladimir Putin, we don't like the fact that you've got 7,000 nuclear weapons pointed at various Western targets and American cities. We can sit down and talk, but stand down with your weapons, homie. Trump is allied with a nation that has nuclear weapons pointed at the United States. And some people are perfectly okay with that. I am not one of them.
So, but now, is it okay then for Trump to invoke tariffs on those nations doing business with Russia, like India and China buying their oil, and then some of our European nations still interacting with India and China?
Al, you know that's a cop-out. Let me tell you why that's a cop-out, because there's no tariff on anything coming from Russia. Trump is tariffing other nations, but he's too afraid to tariff anything coming out of Russia. There's no tariffs. Now, granted, Russia's economy, their economy is about less than the size of California's, but he is too afraid to go directly at a nation that has nuclear weapons pointed at us. And some Americans are okay with that. I'm just saying that I'm not one of them. You seem to be okay with it because you're making up an excuse for a nation that is probably one of the biggest state sponsors of terror on the planet, that is a nuclear power, that has more nuclear weapons pointed at America than any other nation combined. In fact, no other countries have nuclear weapons pointed at us except for Russia.
We don't buy anything from Russia that we can tariff anymore.
Okay, fair enough. Take the tariff argument away from it. They still got nuclear weapons pointed at Milwaukee and Chicago and Washington, D.C., and Dallas, Texas, and Miami and L.A. Do you have a problem with that, or are you cool with it? You all right with it? Gun pointed to Americans' heads?
I can't go over to Russia and dismantle.
I'm asking you if you have a problem. No, I'm not asking you to do all that, man, because all you do is call. Okay, all right then. So then you should exercise your freedom of speech and push back and speak out against a president that is cozying up to, wants to be friends with, and has on numerous occasions publicly praised a person that has guns and weapons and nuclear weapons pointed at Americans' faces. Thank you for your call. Why does he call me? Who else can he call? Like, I don't know why he makes these benign points. All right, I got to take a break. When I come back, I'm going to talk to another Al. Everybody that calls my show is named Al or Bob or Lisa or Linda or Alan. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back.
Don't touch that dial. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
The Humane Animal Welfare Society, HAWS, believes in keeping pets healthy and families together. No one should have to choose between rent and veterinary care. The Wellness Clinic at HAWS Animal Shelter in Waukesha offers important basics of dog and cat care to our community. Pet owners can schedule general exams, sick visits, receive vaccinations, even get preventatives and nail trims. Appointments are available weekdays and can be scheduled by calling 262-542-8852. Contact HAWS of Waukesha today for your pet's care.
This summer, your wishes take center stage at Wish Fest at Potawatomi Casino Hotel, Milwaukee. Play your favorite games with your Potawatomi Rewards card all summer for over $1 million in prizes and earn entries into the Wish Fest prize drawings on Friday, September 26th. Your entries from July, August, and September all count. Plus, 5 lucky winners will have their ultimate wish granted. Wish big, win big. Only at Potawatomi. More info online. Must be 21 and a rewards member to play.
What's poppin', Truth Nation? It's your girl Noni Juice with Tamara Castle from Associated Bank, and this is Making Your Money Work. I am so glad to be joined by Tamara Castle, AVP CRA Mortgage Loan Officer at Associated Bank. Today we will be talking more about first-time homebuyers and giving them some tips and some help. So the very first question I want to ask you is, I want to buy a home, right?
Yes.
Who do I contact first?
So you'll contact me through the website, so Associated Bank /T Castle. And of course, you could always give me a call, 262-888-3135. Text, leave a voicemail. We'll get you guys going.
All right, so that's step 1.
Yes.
Now, this might not be step 2, but it's definitely a good question that I have. Does Associated Bank have any assistance for first-time home buyers?
Yes, we do. So Associated Bank has different angles on assisting first-time buyers. The first one is we have a gift. So it's not a grant. So it's literally coming from our president to give first-time home buyers assistance with the down payment and closing costs. That's $3,000. So we can use that for, obviously, the down payment and closing costs. You can use it to buy down the rate. And pretty much every customer I have uses those funds for their first time. Because, again, sometimes it's hard to save. It's something that people use as a barrier. So we came up with, how can we assist customers? We really can't assist with credit per se, but we can assist with funds. And we don't want funds to stop someone from buying their first house. So we also have another grant called Down Payment Plus. That's $8,000. That can be also layered on top of our $3,000. So a lot of customers get those funds too. We do partner with Housing Resources, which has more funds. So they take care of the home buying education for us, and then we do the mortgage loan, and we connect all those grants together.
This has been Making Your Money Work, brought to you by Associated Bank.
This is The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Positive results from political violence that people say that they don't support, but you actually do. The 13th Amendment, 1865, abolished slavery nationwide, freeing approximately 4 million enslaved African Americans. The 14th Amendment, 1868, granted citizenship to all persons born or naturalized in the United States and guaranteed equal protection under the law. All of these were results of political violence. The 15th Amendment, 1870, prohibited denial of voting rights based on race, color, or previous servitude, at least in principle. The creation of the Freedmen's Bureau was a result of the Civil War, which was a very politically violent conflict. 1865 through 1872 provided food, housing, education, legal assistance, and medical care to formerly enslaved people and poor whites in the South. The Homestead Act of 1862 opened millions of acres of Western land to settlers, even though we stole it from Native Americans, encouraging expansion and middle-class land ownership. And yes, African Americans did get to take advantage of the Homestead Act. Moral land grants, 1862 and 1890, established public universities, especially agricultural and mechanical colleges, dramatically expanding access to higher education for all people. The United States Department of Agriculture, created in 1862, created to support scientific farming and rural development, helping fuel America's agricultural productivity. There was a period of time where African Americans owned 14% of the nation's farmland. We used to own more farmland than our population in the country, but through dispossession and racism and white supremacy, I think we own something like 1 or 2% of farmland. But we were able to take advantage of these post-Civil War pieces of legislation and were able to acquire land. The Pacific Railway Acts of 1862 and 1864 funded construction of the first transcontinental railroad, binding the nation's economy together. You could not do that if the South split into its own country. So as a result of the Civil War, we now had domestic national sources of transportation. There's social and cultural changes. The abolition of chattel slavery ended centuries-long system of radicalized slavery. This was the most significant social transformations in U.S. history. The ending of slavery was the most significant social transformation in U.S. history, and it resulted because of an act of political violence in which over 600,000 Americans were killed. The birth of national citizenship shifted Americans' identity from state-based to nation-based loyalty, strengthening the idea of a unified country rather than a loose confederation of states that could operate independent of one another. And I'm saying all of these things to say that political violence is what allowed these things to come to fruition. Let's talk to, we got some doozies on the line. First, we'll go to Al. You're on 101.7 The Truth. Now, Al, before you get started, now I got 2 other people on hold now.
Well, yeah, I'm going to run it down, and I'm going to run it heavy, and I'm going to go very raw with it because raw is law today.
Hey!
The reason why...
Don't go too raw. Don't go... Put a condom on it. Don't go raw.
Well, I'm aware of the consequences. Sometimes we roll dice, and sometimes we bust a hen, and sometimes we don't. Always take a shower. Moving forward, the reason why some people are comfortable with a snake because a lot of them are snakes themselves. And don't think that some of these whites and some of these black Europeans and some of these coons don't understand what's going on. So you have to understand some snakes feel it's okay to be a snake until you have that garden tool that you've been sharpening in the grinder in the basement that you use for weeding, that you take the head off the body of the snake. That's until they fall up under it. But a lot of them, it's called a 304. They use it for weed, and it's very sharp. You sharp it with a grinder. It can take any head off. But what I was saying is when it comes to snakes, some snakes feel it's okay to be a snake because they was raised to be a snake. A snake will bring down a whole organization for their own self because they're a snake. When you talk to Al from Sherman Park, he feels it's okay to be a snake because he feels it's okay to try to bring down a whole organization to benefit him just to get kibbles and bits. Just like the rest of these people. All you have to do is sit back and laugh. But one thing a snake doesn't do, a snake never goes against a bigger snake or a mongoose because, a mongoose will attack, and all of them will attack and eat the skin, the head, the eyes, the nose, and the blood and the teeth of the snake. So the reason why they're a snake is because a lot of white people, y'all need to back me up, some of these white people was raised to be snakes. That's why he's over there. Think about this, Mr. Hughes. Vladimir Putin disrespected him, disrespect his wife, he still went over there with open arms because he is a snake and a punk. And a snake does not run up against bigger snakes and mongoose because a mongoose is the death of a snake. Have a great day.
Thank you, Al. That was great. Yeah, that was, look at that. Go to YouTube and look at what Al was talking about. It's a snake. It's a cobra. Leave that up, Zach. Let's talk to Miss Shack. Where are you? I'm hearing a lot of background noise. Take us off a speaker.
Good morning, Professor. Good morning to all the beautiful black and white people of 101.7 The Truth in Milwaukee and America. Hey, Sherwin.
Hi.
I hear a lot of tension, and I'm trying to not go down that rabbit hole, because we have to take care of our mental health, and stress can it's subtle. It can affect us, and we have to protect your mental health, your peace. We just got to do something different. But so this is why I'm calling. I just turned the great 65 on Labor's Day, and I'm just so blessed and happy to be healthy, vibrant, and vivacious. And I want to invite Truth Nation to my 65th Celebration of Life event, a black and white formal event on the boat for the weekend. It's going to start on a Friday and on a Sunday. Going to have Freaky Friday. The kids can come during the day and the adults at night. And we'll have Saturday, brunch and dinner. It is formal dinner. I have godbrother and his wife. They do the shack thingy, the shack. The deck shack, something like that. Anyway, they're going to be serving that, and then I'm going to hire a formal dinner served as well. And it's just going to be a projection of my life, starting in Alabama and coming up here and joining CYD, junior achievement, and just forming my life. Kothi Dance Company. Wow, that woman. She definitely filled me up when I, started with her, with Kothi at 15, and then at UWM. She just, informed me, and I see everything that she was saying today as it, relates to
talking about Fern?
Biracial. Yes, honey. That woman sure enough fed me as a young 17-year-old girl starting college and just, following her at 15 from downtown. She came to Wells Junior High, and she had the students come up, 8th grade students come up, and I was one of them, and I stuck with her ever since. It was just a beautiful, beautiful evolution of a young girl in this racist city that, just really contributed to who I am and what I am today, and passionate about education. So, yeah, I want to do that, and I'm going to do some modern dance, which is what I did with her, African dance. And so I'm just putting that positivity out there because I think that all good people should come out of their shyness and contribute that positivity to the world because we need it. We need it. Good people, stand up, shine bright, for real. That's my contribution today, Sherwin.
Thank you, Ms. Shack. Thank you very much. All right, then. I'm in a little bit of trouble right now. If you go to YouTube, you'll see how much trouble I'm in. Help! I'm in a snake pit. I got a rattler on my left and a cobra on my right. And what kind of snake? This snake looks dangerous. It's coiled up. It's snakes. I don't even know who let these snakes in here. Let's Alan. Hello there, Alan. What are you doing now?
I'm getting some signatures. I'm out here right now getting some more signatures. I'm still going. Actually, you sent a couple people you mentioned came by. One guy lives around here, and you sent me a couple signees, man. That was pretty nice of you. Thank you.
I didn't. No. I didn't do that on purpose.
You knew that was going to happen. What do you think was going to happen, Sherwin?
So by you calling earlier, people went and they looked for you and they saw you and did they sign or did they just say hello to you?
Yeah, he signed. One signed, the other one. Yeah, you got to get twice. Yeah.
What the hell?
Yeah, follow that template. But yeah, we're doing pretty well, man. I'm on my third page.
How many signatures? So 10 signatures a page, so 30 signatures?
Yeah, so far today, 37 right now.
When you have a deadline to turn those in, correct? When you have to have your 2,600?
Yeah, right around Thanksgiving.
Oh.
Right, I got 60 days from it was Tuesday when I filed, or when we filed. But I'm going to have some other people probably. They've been asking me if they want some. So the guys on the corner I might give a couple things to. As long as their friends work and live in the first district, they can sign. If they're eligible to vote, they can't have no cases hanging over them, felony. Can't be on paper.
Okay, well, thank you for that.
I'm going to have the signatures.
We'll see. We'll see.
Do you want me to call you again before noon?
No, we're good for today.
Should I call you every day and give you the update?
We'll take a daily update, yeah. But time it.
That's fun, man. You know what? I appreciate you, man. No, you told me to call you back. I think you thought that I wasn't really going to go home and nobody'd answer the door. I had one guy didn't want to, but then he told me to come back later because he understood what we're doing. Older guy like me.
Okay, well, you keep us posted. Have a good weekend, Alan.
I'm going to be busy. You know, I got to go to Mass on Sunday and give my time to the Lord. But outside of that, we're staying. I'm not staying home. I'm going to finish this. I'm going to have 200 before I go home for today.
All right, then. You have a good weekend and then go worship the Lord. Then The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back.
Need a way to hype up your day?
Hey, is this Carolyn?
It is.
Congratulations, Carolyn. You just won this.
Congratulations. Woo! God is good all the time.
What would you do with $5,000?
I'm going to buy my nieces some school clothes because my nephew just passed away.
Aww.
So I'm going to get them some clothes.
Stay tuned into 1017 The Truth for your chance to be entered into the Gruber Law Office's 5K giveaway. For contest rules, visit 1017thetruth.com.
Celebrate the reigning queens of disco with Disco Divas, running at the Bradley Symphony Center September 26th through the 28th. Principal Pops conductor Byron Stripling will lead the Milwaukee Symphony Orchestra and an all-star trio of vocalists in all of your favorite hits from the disco era. Think Donna Summer, Patti LaBelle, Diana Ross, and Chaka Khan, as well as the Bee Gees, Earth, Wind & Fire, and even Michael Jackson. Those silky high strings and thumping bass lines will never sound better as you dance and sing along in your seat to tunes like I Will Survive, We Are Family, I'm Coming Out, and more. So what are you waiting for? Get those sequins out of storage and call the box office now at 414-291-7605 for Disco Divas or visit mso.org.
Friday Night Lights now officially lives here. 1017 The Truth is the proud home of Marquette Hilltoppers football. Tune in Friday night as the Hilltoppers travel to take on the Oconomowoc Raccoons. Join our coverage starting at 6:30 p.m., leading up to kickoff at 7 p.m. Marquette Hilltoppers football is presented by Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all. And sponsored by Left's Lucky Town, C.G. Schmidt, Capital Insurance Agency, Boyle Fredrickson, Annex Wealth Management, Magic Productions, and Burkhart Sporting Goods.
From my family and myself, I would like to say thank you to Gruber Law Offices for taking such good care of us.
I would say thank you because you were so human and so much of a friend during the whole process.
I'm super grateful for them representing me and doing all that they did for me.
I would just say thank you for making me feel better.
That's why I'm here, to say thank you, thank you, thank you.
Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all.
Hey, Journey team, it's me, Coach Erica. The clock is ticking. Are you being intentional each day? Is your mindset in the right place? Are you financially planning for your future? Do you have life insurance? What are you waiting on? Allow me to assist you on your journey to success. Visit ericaodomjourney.com today or email me at ericaodom@odomhomes.com. Let's take this next step together.
More of The Truth with Sherwin Hughes is next on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
I want to spend a good part of hour 3, which starts in about 6 minutes, talking about the future and figuring out which direction we're going to go in a couple of different regards. I don't think it's too soon to start thinking about what the 2028 presidential election is going to look like. personally, I'm not ready to fill in the blanks with people yet, but I want to fill in the blanks with what issues are we going to be voting on. What in the city of Milwaukee, and I'm going to start there, what do we need and where do we want to cooperate with the federal government delivering what we need here? If I ask you, what are the top 3 issues or problems or situations in Milwaukee that need desperate and urgent attention, in which Donald Trump's answer is sending the National Guard? Now, I don't think that that's the answer to whatever the top 3 most pressing, urgent, significant issues impacting the city of Milwaukee are. The National Guard will not help them. Adding more police and policing people, and I don't think that solves the problem. So whatever those issues are, and they may vary, and they also may change between now and 2028, but there's also going to be some consistency amongst those issues because to some extent we have been arguing about wanting the same things for the last 50, 60, 70 years in the city of Milwaukee. More opportunity, more fairness, more hope, a better education system. You know, we need more housing here in the city of Milwaukee. We need to extinguish and eradicate poverty here. So whatever those issues are that we have still yet to accomplish, I think that should be on the plate of what we serve up to the candidates who we know they're going to be here in Wisconsin asking for our vote. But prior to that, we get a couple of dress rehearsals. We're going to have some elections in the year 2026. And I don't know what more needs to happen, what more you need to see to demonstrate that elections have consequences. And by not voting. And this goes for people on whatever side of the political spectrum you're on. You could be a libertarian or you could be a democratic socialist. And they're going to be well represented. Francesca Hong talked about her a little bit yesterday. And I typically wouldn't talk about a democratic socialist candidate just because I believe that their politics are, this is a personal opinion. Some of y'all going to get mad, but you get mad at anything anyway. Those politics are too extreme. And I think America and Wisconsinites are starting to get a little fed up with extremism. But Francesca Hong, apparently she used, she's being real rebellious with her campaign video. She came out with a campaign video, as so did David Crowley, as did the current Lieutenant Governor, Sarah Rodriguez. But when Francesca Hong came out with her campaign video, she used profanity in it, and people went crazy because she said the word BS. She's a state legislator from Madison, and she also moonlights as a chef at a restaurant that's in the shadow of the Capitol, so all of that was featured in her video. But another reason why Francesca Hong, a Democratic socialist, is making waves is because she raised something like $115,000 in a really short period of time. That's good money for a Democratic socialist from Madison. But don't let that dollar amount deceive you into thinking that she's going to have the several million in order to run a successful statewide 72-county, 1,851 city campaign because she raised $115,000. If you are an ultra-progressive, far lefty Democratic socialist, you have nowhere else to put your money. You have no other candidates or no other political apparatus in which you're going to invest your money. So all of the Democratic socialists across the state, or at least those that are ready, willing, able, and equipped to donate, gave their money to the one candidate that they have. So it does seem like a daunting amount of money that she raised in a short period of time. Will she be able to sustain that? She will not. I think she would be. I think she's Hmong. I don't want to get the culture wrong, but I'm pretty sure she's Hmong. Hmong or Laotian, right? I think she's Hmong. She'd be the first Hmong lady. I think she's the first Hmong person to run and win a state assembly seat. And all of that is fantastic. But also, I don't know if statewide voters know enough about the Hmong culture to elect someone to represent the majority of people in the state that are not Hmong. And that's a legitimate question and or criticism. I personally think that David Crowley would make an excellent governor. I think he's done a great job as county executive. I think he has led in a way that is not hyper-partisan. I think that being county executive, you have to provide services to people of all different races, ethnicities, national origins. You solve problems that exist in Milwaukee County regardless of somebody's political affiliation. Let's be clear about this. The city of Milwaukee is very heavily Democratic voting. The suburbs vote considerably more conservative, but because they're all under the umbrella of Milwaukee County government, I think that David Crowley has served each of those communities very, very well. He has not taken the Trump route and saying, like, oh, I'm just going to give county resources and pay extra attention to Milwaukee because Milwaukee is Democratic voting. He did not do that. And every so often in the state of Wisconsin, we want somebody who is a little bit more sensible when it comes to delivering policy. I believe that is why people selected Tony Evers after the era of Scott Walker, because Scott Walker was incredibly polarizing. He was very extreme. Tony Evers was not. Now, Tony Evers makes it very, very clear that he's a Democrat, but he was the kind of Democrat that was moderate in his political leanings, and I think he focused on and prioritized accomplishment over anything else. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be back for Hour 3.
Come in with straight truth.
Everything got a message. I'll say this. Y'all can't be tired if y'all still messing with the negative energy. Every day I get on and say, the power of the tongue. Your impulsive negative thoughts, reacting, and these kids watching you reacting all wild and crazy. The programming you watching on TV, the music. And now, like Security Mike said, it's popular to pop somebody. It's popular now. And these kids coming back, they coming back to somebody's house. They coming to eat a meal at somebody's house. They hanging out with somebody in the neighborhood who got a house, who paying the rent. They hanging out with you. They may be your relative. They may be your buddy. That social acceptance is there. Understand what I'm saying? So when we really tired, we gonna cut it off. We gonna stop it.
Tune in to all your favorite 1017 The Truth shows all day, every day by downloading the Truth app.
Tracy, going back to the process, and as it relates specifically to the partnership that Old National Bank has with Housing Resource, what does the process consist of when coming through this program?
You know, it's a referral process. We work with clients that first-time homeowners that may not have the counseling that they need. They may not have the equity, the down payment that they need. So we refer them to our partners like HRI or Housing Resources, Inc., because we recognize that those organizations, they have the resources, they have the tutorial documentation and all of those things that are necessary for first-time homeowners that don't know the process, may not know the system, may not know what's required for home ownership. So working with Housing Resources Inc. and other partnerships that we have like through WIDA has been very, very advantageous, not only for us, but also the organizations, but also for the community.
Being a caregiver for a family member can be very rewarding. It can be very challenging, too. Besides taking a physical and emotional toll, it can also take a real financial toll, especially if you're paying for home safety upgrades, covering medical expenses, cutting back on hours at your job, or having to leave your job altogether. In some states and in certain situations, you may be eligible to get paid for the care you provide, but finding reliable information about caregiver compensation can be overwhelming and very time-consuming. The AARP Foundation Paid for Care Hub can help. It's a free online tool developed with support from United Healthcare, where you can search compensation programs, explore your options, and get answers to frequently asked questions. Find out today if it's possible to be compensated for the time, effort, and care you're providing. Visit paidforcare.aarpfoundation.org to learn more.
Milwaukee's Black Talk lives here. You are listening to 1017 FM, 1510 AM WGKB Waukesha, and W269DL Milwaukee, a locally owned Good Karma brand station. It's The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Welcome to Hour 3 with me, Sherwin Hughes. So you guys remember a couple weeks ago when a guy called and he sounded a little perturbed at how the city prioritizes development. And I've heard from a lot of you that we prioritize development downtown versus in neighborhoods. And so Alan Beckman, who is now initiating a recall in real time of the 1st District Alderwoman because he and apparently at least some of his neighbors disagree with a development plan or development proposal for a school in the first aldermanic district. And I guess I have questions too about how do we look at it, how do we prioritize what we develop in the city. I will say this. Since they tore down 145, the Fond du Lac Freeway, and made a lot of space where we now have the Deer District and the Fiserv Forum, downtown Milwaukee looks different. There's the Northwestern Mutual building. It's tall and shiny. There's condo development and apartments, and we've repurposed some old industrial buildings for housing, etc. But I've never really understood, okay, the city says, okay, we have all of this stuff and have all of this possibility, and we got to turn it into property tax revenue. I've always been a little unclear as to how the city prioritizes those things. So lucky for all of you and for your listening pleasure and viewing pleasure if you're on the YouTube, the commissioner himself, the commissioner of the Department of City Development, Mr. Lafayette Crump, is there. Oh, no, he's not on the phone. He's in the studio. Mr. Crump, welcome, and how are you this morning, sir?
Good morning, Mr. Hughes. I am great. How are you doing?
I'm doing much better than I was a couple of weeks ago. Let's put it that way.
I am delighted to hear that.
Thank you. I am delighted to tell it. But enough about me. You are the commissioner of the Department of City Development, and I know that people may be familiar with the department. They might even be familiar with previous commissioners. When you go to work every single day, you probably have a core mission. The department has a mission. How would you articulate that mission to people that may not be familiar with what it is?
Well, thank you for that question. And of course, thank you for having me here. Really appreciate the opportunity to speak with you. Of course, you can speak with me anytime, but I appreciate you making this space available for me to talk to your listeners and viewers as well. Our mission at the Department of City Development is to improve the quality of life for all Milwaukeeans through the built environment. And we do that with a lens toward building equitably and building sustainably as well.
So it isn't just housing, it's what could bring more economic activity, what can help develop neighborhoods. So an example would be when I was in high school in, let's say, the early 1990s, I'm going to put it lightly and diplomatically, Brady Street did not look then like it does right now. Mm-hmm. There has been a lot of resources poured into Brady Street, and I'm sure some help from other entities and stakeholders. Would that be an example of something that the Department of City Development has like a 20-year plan for? You see a neighborhood that's not doing well, maybe it's blighted. You all come up with a plan and a set of ideas, and then you implement it over time. Is that something similar to what you guys do?
Well, that's exactly right. And I appreciate you mentioned two really good examples of housing and commercial corridors, which are core elements of how we go about thinking about our planning for the city. And then as well, obviously, you mentioned the city plan. There's a full city comprehensive plan. That's a state-mandated requirement that we have a comprehensive plan for the city of Milwaukee. But the way that we go about doing it in the city of Milwaukee is not just thinking about the city as a whole, because that would be ridiculous. We have very unique geographical aspects to the city, unique demographic aspects to certain parts of the city, and unique needs throughout the city of Milwaukee. So we have 14 different area plans that jointly make up our comprehensive plan, as well as planning plans like the housing element of the comprehensive plan, which was recently passed by the council and signed by the mayor, as well as various other plans that go into imagining what the city of Milwaukee should look like, and ensuring that it is something that is useful and impactful for all of our residents. So, as you mentioned, we think about a 20-year time frame. Exactly right. We recently completed, for example, our downtown plan, connecting downtown plan. And part of that plan, it's titled 2040. We are looking that far out, completed a couple of years ago, and we are thinking about what do we expect and want Milwaukee to look like that many years down the road, and then that informs what we do within the department, and it also informs developers and the community in terms of what kind of things can they present to us that we are likely to support and help them bring to fruition.
Let me ask you a question that I'm sure you've heard many, many times over. why you keep developing downtown. People see the contrast, right? If you lived in a certain city, Milwaukee neighborhood, maybe on the north side for the last 30 or 40 years, maybe you've seen some ebb and some flow. Maybe there's some new housing development. Maybe there's a few businesses that moved in. But the contrast between that near north side neighborhood and, say, downtown has been, well, let's just say that it's noticeable. I'm assuming that you hear, why is all this focus going into downtown? Why not put the same level of focus and the same investment in some north side neighborhoods? How do you answer that?
Well, I would say two things to that. And it is fair for people to watch closely how we spend our time, where we put our energy, and where we support with potential city resources, as well as the availability of tax incremental financing, which I'm sure we'll chat about in a little bit. It's very fair for people to watch that closely and ask questions about it. What we would ask is that when they're watching closely, truly watch it closely and see what we're doing. As I mentioned, 14 different area plans. Only one of those is a downtown plan. Did a downtown plan, I think, back in 2010, and we did one recently. So that's two over the course of many, many years, multiple decades, two downtown plans have done. Over that time, we have done multiple plans throughout the city of Milwaukee. We're working on a plan for the Northwest Side. Right now we've done plans for Fondian North. We've done East Side plan. We've done, there's Bayview plan. There are plans all over the city that we spend our time on. And I was just looking a couple days ago at the number of tax incremental financing districts that we have created just over the last 5 years. Happens to coincide with the amount of time that I've been at the department. Some of those, of course, involve work that began before I started, but these are the ones that came to fruition since my time. There have been about 25 tax incremental financing districts created over the last 5 years. The vast majority of those are outside of downtown, and the vast majority of those are creating housing opportunities and other economic development opportunities, of course, throughout the city of Milwaukee. Now, of course, huge investment downtown is going to garner a great deal of attention. It's going to garner a great deal of news coverage. And in some ways it should, because downtown, and this is a core principle that we have, downtown Milwaukee is for everyone, belongs to everyone. It needs to create opportunities for everyone in the city of Milwaukee, and it should be something that is sort of a beacon to folks who are not in Milwaukee, whether that be tourists, whether that be people who want to do financial investment, whatever the case may be. But we want downtown Milwaukee, which is truly kind of the term that gets tossed around a lot, but kind of the living room of the city of Milwaukee. It's a center of commerce. It's the kind of recreational center, and so we definitely have to pay attention to it. Downtowns are really important to urban areas. But when you talk about the attention that we pay, the number of projects that are completed, the vast majority of those are outside of downtown.
Speaking with Mr. Lafayette Crump, he is the commissioner of the Department of City Development. For the record, I support downtown development for a number of different reasons. I know that real estate in downtown Milwaukee is more valuable, and the property taxes that can be collected from developed real estate downtown can bring more resources to the city, in which our council has more flexibility with where they allocate those resources to other parts of the city that for a long time have been underfunded. But look where we are right now, right? We're in the repurposed Grand Avenue Mall. Malls are a terrible idea for central cities, let alone for downtowns. But the fact that we have commerce upstairs and tons of offices and corporate offices, Good Karma Brands is here, and we have, of course, the 3rd Street Market Hall. So this is an example of how development can work positively, but also Milwaukee has garnered a new nickname, I suppose. We're a convention city. I never would have thought that we'd ever be a convention city, but everybody wants to come here. The Democrats have been here. The Republicans are here, have been here. The young Republicans are having their convention here in 2027. Northwestern Mutual, they've been having their conventions here since the beginning of time. But I think that also helps to increase the number of travelers and tourists that when they come here, they support local businesses, and that's more money for Milwaukee's economy. I do want to give some details on tax incremental financing. Before we do that, public input. the city has a great idea, got a great plan. 20 years, this is going to be fantastic. It's going to bring in a whole bunch more revenue and jobs are going to be created. Public may not understand all of that. Public may not want a meatpacking plant at Century City. So that's just one example. How do you guys weigh public input? Because, I mean, you know this. The public has their own set of ideas, and they can respond to rumors, and they may not get all the information. And of course, everything is politicized. The public may be vehemently against a development that you all know is going to be good for a neighborhood, for a community. But if the public is like, no way, no how does the city weigh that dilemma?
Well, first of all, I just want to say very briefly, thank you for making that point about the impact of downtown development on the city as a whole. When, with downtown real estate prices and the resources that come into downtown, those are then parceled out throughout the rest of the city. The property tax revenue there offsets everyone else's property taxes. And so while it is a small sliver of our city geographically, has a huge impact on our city economically. So thank you for making that point. As it relates to public input, it's another thing that is foundational to the work that we do. We truly want the public to be engaged in the decision-making about planning and then about specific projects, particularly if they deviate at all from what we said in planning would likely occur in a particular part of the city. And there are several opportunities for public input, both in the creation of area plans and then in the development of specific projects, particularly if they are going to need any kind of zoning approval, if they are going to, again, deviate from plans that have been in place, and certainly if they are going to have any public resources involved in the creation of the project. There are multiple opportunities for the public to speak, city planning commission meetings, redevelopment authority meetings, zoning, neighborhoods, and development committee meetings, multiple opportunities.
Tax incremental financing. I might need a little refresher here. Is it where property taxes on a parcel of land are they deferred or are they paid to the developer? It's used to encourage development. So which is it? Am I totally off base with it?
No, you're right in line with it. And I think the one piece that I always think it's important to underscore for the public is that when it comes to tax incremental financing, there is a but-for test involved. By state law, you must demonstrate that a project as defined would not occur but for the infusion of tax incremental financing dollars. So that's first of all. You are not going to get the project as defined without some of those resources being involved. Now, the second piece here is that in order for a project to receive tax incremental financing dollars, it must demonstrate that it's going to create sufficient taxes to pay for those dollars. So the only way that a project gets the infusion of dollars is because it's created new tax revenue, new property value that can then be utilized to finance the project. It's sort of a leverage model or arbitrage, if you will, for those in the financial space. But essentially what you're saying is, let's say a project is a piece of land is currently valued at, let's call it $100,000. And then once we build the project, it will ultimately be worth $250,000. And let's say that it is currently paying $3,000 a year in city property taxes, but once the project is complete, it will be paying $10,000 a year in city property taxes. So you're talking about $7,000 additional dollars every year that property will generate. And so what tax incremental financing says is, well, if there's going to be additional property tax revenue year after year for a period of time, we can use that new revenue that only exists because of this new project. We can use that to help finance the project. So oftentimes a new project will, let's say it costs, $100 million to build. Let's take an example of a downtown project, for example. Let's say it's going to be $100 million to create this project. You might see an infusion of $8 to $10 million in property tax revenue to help get that project across the finish line. But those resources are not taken from anyone else. No one else's property taxes go up because we're doing that. Those dollars only exist because of the new value of the project, if that makes sense.
It does make sense. So you're betting on future value. Seems highly speculative, but I'd imagine over time, the formula has probably worked out to be fairly accurate. If not, you guys wouldn't keep doing it, right?
That's right. It is speculative based on quite a bit of analysis by our department, often analysis by a third-party validator, as well as analysis by the comptroller, and then multiple oversight bodies. So the Redevelopment Authority, the Common Council, a joint review board. There are multiple steps of reviewing this information, making sure it works properly. Even the city attorney is involved in the review. And furthermore, our philosophy, the vast majority of the time, there are only very unique cases where this is not the case. We do developer-financed tax incremental districts. What that means is that the project only receives those dollars if the value has actually met the thresholds that we expect. It's the developer that is betting on it more than the city. So the city is protected. The city does not lose the revenue if the project does not reach the value that we've all believed that it would.
Speaking with Lafayette Crump, he is the commissioner of the Department of City Development. Going to take a break, going to come back. I want to ask you about Northridge. I used to love Northridge so very much.
Man.
I used to do many great things and maybe not good things at Northridge, but it's been controversial. I know there's been a lot of ideas about what is going to be placed on those many, many acres of land. So we'll talk about that. And also, what are you most proud of? What are some priorities for the current mayor when it comes to city development? We'll talk about that on the other side. You're listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 FM. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back.
Don't touch that dial. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back on 101.7 The Truth, The Truth app, and 101.7thetruth.com.
From the biggest stars to the greatest moments, Behind the Bucks is Bucks history like you've never heard it before. It's all on Behind the Bucks on the Bucks Plus audio network. Behind the Bucks is presented by Gallagher, your trusted insurance broker and HR and benefits consultant. Available now on bucks.com/plus, the Bucks app, the new ESPN Wisconsin app, and wherever you get podcasts.
It's 101.7 The Truth. Dr. Ken Harris for Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. When a customer chooses Pella, one of the most important things to them is honoring that trust and commitment. A lot of customers might have apprehensions about inviting someone out to their home. But when you see the experience and professionalism, you can trust them with bringing your project to life. Their vision is to be the company that people want to do business with. Watching them work from idea to installation gives you the ability to see firsthand the care taken to ensure the Pella experience is complete. When you want long-lasting comfort and reliability, it's easy to trust Pella. Every piece is specifically constructed for you and your home, always designed with innovation and rigorously tested for quality and performance. The Pella team takes pride in constructing quality windows and doors with meticulous attention to every detail. Order by the end of the month and get 0% interest for up to 5 years. Visit PellaWI.com today.
Certain restrictions apply. It's 9/30/2025.
Ready to buy your first house, move into your forever home, or simply refinance? At Associated Bank, they've got you. With the right lending plan and guidance, you can achieve your dreams. Your financial goals are much closer than you think, and Associated Bank is excited to help you reach them. Learn more at associatedbank.com/lending or ask a banker for details. Subject to credit approval. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
All you have is one chance after an accident, one decision on who to call, one shot to get the help you need. Don't waste it on the one offer you get from your insurance company. Make the one call to Gruber Law Offices. It's the only one you'll need to make. Call us today. Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all.
At Hazelden Betty Ford, treating mental health isn't just about breaking old patterns. It's about braving new ones. As the leader in alcohol and drug treatment for 75 years, we know caring for addiction, anxiety, depression, and trauma goes hand in hand. We're here for you with new tools when life breaks down. Discover your path to better mental health at hazeldenbettyford.org/Wisconsin. Sponsored by Hazelden Betty Ford Foundation.
More of The Truth with Sherwin Hughes is next on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
In studio, the commissioner of the Department of City Development, Lafayette Crump, and I know that a bunch of you all had questions about what gets developed in the city versus what doesn't. I know you see the contrast of downtown and all the big, tall, shiny buildings and even a streetcar that runs around a couple of blocks downtown, and you wonder, what's the process? Why does the city prioritize the things that it does? And we're trying to provide some clarity to that. Every now and again, there'll be a project that rises to the level of great public discourse. I'd say Northridge was one of them because there were a lot of ideas. There was even some people that, and God bless those people because I was one of them, bring the mall back. It was wonderful in 1987. It'll work again. No, it won't, for a variety of different reasons. Of the proposals that were tossed around, and there was public input as well, I believe that is the 9th Aldermanic District. Our good friend Larissa Taylor is the representative of that area. Where are we now with the plan? I know there was some housing considerations, but for folks who have kind of fallen away from paying attention to the development of Northridge, where are we at currently?
Well, I will say you're right. There has been housing consideration, and that is because there will always be housing consideration when we are thinking about projects. Even if we decide, nope, bad idea right here. It will always be something that is brought up for consideration because we need more housing in the city of Milwaukee, period. And we can talk more about that later. I want to respect the question that you're asking right now, which is Northridge. So the city had to go through a really Herculean process to take ownership of that property. And, as frustrating as it was for residents of the city of Milwaukee, incredibly frustrating for many of us in city government.
Because it was owned by a Chinese, an international conglomerate or something that didn't really respond very well to fines, et cetera, et cetera. Is that correct?
That's exactly right. Okay. And when you have enforcement mechanisms that are not really, taking hold or not really influencing the actions of a particular party, or a particular individual, then it doesn't really move things forward. So we were appealing to the court to allow us, for many reasons, lack of upkeep, lack of security, safety, danger, lack of responsiveness to court orders, to city fines and whatnot, that it was time for the city to take possession and to raise the mall. And through efforts of the Department of City Development, the mayor's office, the fire department, the city attorney's office, Department of Neighborhood Services, others, we were able to get it done. And so we took possession of the mall, and we began demolishing that thing. Actually just saw some photos recently, which I think will probably become public relatively soon, if they have not yet, of another building coming completely down. And it is really amazing to see, the clearing of that land and making it available for new development. At the same time that we have been, demoing the land, or demoing the buildings there, I should say, and doing it, by the way, with an extraordinary number of local businesses, diverse businesses, local workers, diverse workers, apprentices, really creating great opportunities for folks. We have been engaging in a planning process as well. So we've been doing the planning in tandem with the demolition and preparing for what will ultimately be one or more requests for proposals to build on that land and do something that is great for the area as well as great for the city. We've also participated in some design charrettes, sort of a Northridge fantasy camp where a number of developers, large and small developers, participated to imagine what could be on that land. We've seen ideas from industrial development to light and clean manufacturing to housing, as you've mentioned, recreational opportunities, amenities for the area. It's the kind of land and any particular part of the city where there will be no shortage of ideas, and we are kind of honing in on what kinds of things we'll ask and what our request for proposal process will be like, but really looking forward to that happening, which likely occur, I'd say, within the next 6 months or so is probably a good timeline for when you will start to see requests for information about what people might propose to do on the land.
Please keep us posted, because I know that whatever is developed on that land, it's obviously going to have an impact on the surrounding neighbors, but it potentially could have an impact citywide, because I know a lot of folks have a lot of history, a lot of nostalgia connected to that Northridge site. So please keep us posted on those developments.
Absolutely.
Are there any projects that you personally are proud of, or something that maybe seemed like a real uphill climb, a proposal, an idea, and then it finally came to fruition? So anything that you are happy that came to fruition since you've been on the clock?
Yeah, there's quite a bit that I'm proud of, and the way that Milwaukee bounced back post-COVID, or in that time period when we were kind of getting out of the pandemic, and comparing Milwaukee to a number of major metros around the country, we saw a number of companies bringing workers back downtown. We saw quite a bit of interest in companies relocating into the city of Milwaukee. So I could rattle off the companies that, got a great presence here in Milwaukee, from Fiserv to, Interpac, a number of different companies. Milwaukee Tool, of course, Northwestern Mutual consolidating their office here. I mean, people, might not realize that Northwestern Mutual, which of course had a huge presence in downtown Milwaukee, also had a huge presence in Franklin. And, they are bringing those workers into Milwaukee as well. The Milwaukee Tool growth is amazing. We're right here, as you note, in the 3rd Street Market Hall, where Kohl's also opened up a great store right here in the heart of downtown Milwaukee. And so all of that feels amazing. But as I noted earlier, there have been 25 plus TIDs over the last 5 years, and a lot of those are creating affordable housing throughout the city of Milwaukee. And I'll be honest, when I first took this role, I, particularly given my background in business and in law, my economic development focus, I was really thinking about the opportunity of bringing business into the city of Milwaukee, growing those job opportunities and that kind of growth. And I needed to get up to speed on the depth and the breadth of the housing challenge in the city of Milwaukee. I've been fortunate enough to have, a very stable housing my entire life. That is certainly not the case for a number of Milwaukeeans, and it's a moral failing in our country, and an economic failure to not figure out how to make more housing available to residents, particularly those who may struggle with it the most, those who are paying far too much in their income for their housing. And so we have put an extraordinary amount of energy into creating housing that is affordable. And I make that distinction between affordable housing and housing that is affordable, because affordable housing is a very specific defined term of art related to housing that is available for those who are making 60% of the area median income or below. But what I envision is a city that has housing that is affordable to everyone, that everyone can find a place to live, that does not break the bank, that allows them to meet their other needs, that allows them to create stability for themselves, for their children, so that the kids are not thinking about where they're going to be next week, next month, but they can focus on other necessary but also desirous aspects of their lives, to not have that ongoing stress of thinking about where am I going to lay my head tonight. And so the work that we've done in housing, I'm incredibly proud of that, and incredibly proud of the focus we've given to it. Mayor Johnson, when he was president of the Common Council, directed the Department of City Development to take an even greater focus on housing, and that's carried over to his time as mayor, where we've been an instrumental part of the work that the Community Development Alliance is doing to create really unique programs to ensure that there's housing, both rental and owned housing, throughout the city of Milwaukee. So whether that be unique ways of using tax incremental financing to ensure that there are more homeowners in the city, the down payment resources that we have poured into creating new homeowners in the city of Milwaukee, and that'll continue to be a great deal of our work, and I'm sure a great part of my legacy.
Mr. Lafayette Crump, he is the commissioner of the Department of City Development. Thank you. Appreciate you being here, man. You gave us some good insights. I guess one last thing before you go. If you had to, condense the mayor's priorities via percentage when it comes to his perspective on developing the city, is it 70-30 business development, housing, 70% housing and growing the city to 1 million people? I guess if you had to break up that 100% between those categories, where would you say our mayor is on developing the city?
I'm going to say it is 45% housing, 45% jobs, and 10% other, with 10%, and this is about development, 10% related to all the other things that are important to making a city a livable space.
And because we are Milwaukee, we always got to save a 10% for the other. Thank you, sir. You are welcome back anytime. We appreciate you being here.
Thank you so much. I'll come back anytime you have me.
All right. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back.
The Truth with Sherwin Hughes returns after this on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Immerse yourself in a place where bold ideas are sought after, where all are encouraged to bring their personal flourish. Here, innovation is a way of life. In this city, the beat flows. Together, we're dancing to the rhythm. Forward. Now, it's your turn to grab hold of that energy, where you'll remember not just the meals, the celebrations, or the uncommon coast. What you'll remember is how we made you feel. Come experience Milwaukee, where fresh meets fearless every day.
Did you forget the first day of school is this week and little Nancy still needs her name embroidered on her backpack? Or the company shirts are due now, not next week? Maybe the boss just declared Steve's retirement party is today and the shirts are mandatory? Whatever the rush, Big Frog Custom T-shirts and more in Mequon has got you covered. With fast turnarounds, no minimums, eco-friendly printing, and high-quality custom apparel, Big Frog brings your custom ideas to life fast. Stop by Big Frog in Mequon or visit bigfrog.com/Mequon. Big Frog Custom T-shirts and more, where your ideas leap to life.
Coming with straight truth.
Corey, I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you when I first started hearing your voice. And what you're doing, in the words of T-Pain and Gorilla, I love it.
Thank you, brother. Bless.
Hey, I'm down with you, man. I missed your last gathering, but the next one I'm going to be there, and I'm going to make sure I introduce myself because, hey, you're God in all circumstances.
Catch the Tory Lowe Show every weekday from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. Never miss a moment of The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on the new 1017 The Truth.
Violence is a tool. Violence is a tool of oppression. It's a tool of subjugation. It's a tool of manifest destiny. Let's not say all of a sudden, oh, hip-hop music is why people are right. No. Y'all know how America was discovered? Murder, slavery, human trafficking. The origins of violence predates hip-hop. Can we at least agree on that?
Listen to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes weekdays from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. Tap into the best power hour in radio in Milwaukee.
Drop my pants. I had to make sure I wasn't seen. I don't want nobody to get surprised.
This is a sick Negro.
I'm just a real one. I peed again, came on back. I said, what y'all been doing? We've been out here for 3 hours. Y'all ain't peed yet? Just sitting here, we playing beer pong, and y'all sitting here peeing next to me? I'm still itchy today. Thinking something wrong. Am I the only one that's astonished by this?
Catch Truth to Power with Kyle Wallace every weekday from noon to 1 p.m. on 1017 The Truth and The Truth app.
The expression on your face, that's got to me. and the man wasn't lying.
What you mean the expression
Okay,
on my face? How can you see my face? You listening to me on the radio, man.
No, I'm watching you on YouTube, too.
Oh, all right, then. You're an old man, and you know about YouTube. How old are you, Adam? You about 85.
83.
I'll be dipped. How blessed are we to have you?
Watch all your favorite 1017 The Truth shows by subscribing to 1017 The Truth on YouTube. You are listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
I hope you all were as informed by that conversation with Lafayette as I was. I've always been very curious about how the city makes decisions on what it is and is not going to develop, and that provided some much needed insight and clarity. It probably didn't answer all of your questions, but at least we hopefully have a better perspective on what the city prioritizes. I'm not sure what Kamala Harris is prioritizing because she's throwing everybody under the bus. The issue that I have is moving into the 2026 midterm elections and whatever happens in 2028. I was having a conversation with somebody last night, and we were talking about Donald Trump sending the National Guard into select cities, which I think the temperature on that has kind of cooled down. And we've kind of shifted away from that focus, mostly because the assassination of Charlie Kirk has taken most of the political oxygen out of the room and all the cancellations, et cetera. But the person I was talking to, we agreed on this point, that sending the military into U.S. cities using crime as the reason or the excuse is going to obviously get the attention of people who are concerned about crime in those cities, because no matter what city Donald Trump was threatening, there were always people in those cities, may not have been a majority of people, but there were some that did welcome the military. I believe that, as the person I was talking to also believes, that it's a test to see how people are going to respond when the military does arrive in their city, because if there's something much larger afoot, if Donald Trump wants to seize federal control of our voting machines and our ballots, because he is going to continue to keep alive election fraud. And now remember, no one is stopping Donald Trump from even his worst impulses. There's no one there. During his first term, there were people, because he hired folks that knew how Washington, D.C. worked. They understood the bureaucracy. They followed the Constitution. They followed the rule of law. And so when Donald Trump had some of his worst impulses during his first term and people pushed back on him and had enough courage to tell him, no, Mr. President, you can't do that, he would fire those people. So what Trump learned from his first term to his second term is only surround yourself with loyalists that no matter what will never tell you no. I'd imagine during his first term, if Donald Trump suggested using the military and the National Guard to federalize our local and state elections, a lot of his support staff would have told him, no, Mr. President, you can't do that. Now, there isn't anyone there to tell him no, including other Republicans that are in the House of Representatives and the U.S. Senate. And if he is to continue to use something that's worked very well for him, election fraud. Oh, they're cheating. Voting by mail. They're double counting the votes, or they're not counting the votes, or whenever there's like clerical error or human error, which there always is whenever you have people involved in anything, Donald Trump uses that to further what is called the big lie. And if you can get people used to or accustomed to or desensitized to the military and the National Guard being in their city, quote unquote, because of crime, then when the military is either already there or when they are redeployed to cities to take federal control over our ballots, people won't be nearly as shocked. I am worried about that, because you have to conceptualize this president as someone who has no boundaries and no guardrails and no one to tell him no and nothing to stop him. He has no respect for the Constitution. He doesn't even have respect for the will of the people. I got a poll here from the Washington Post. Donald Trump is underwater in every conceivable, measurable category of public sentiment. The public does not agree with him on any of his signature issues, not on handling crime, not on the economy. typically presidents would be concerned about that because they know moving into the midterm elections, if the Americans are dissatisfied with your performance, Americans, when they go and vote in the midterm elections, are going to vote for your party opposition. Meaning if Donald Trump is failing in all of these different measures of public sentiment, he should be worried that the public is going to choose a Democrat. But he's acting in a way as if the Democratic Party is not even going to exist. Yesterday, I talked about a couple of things that the administration is trying to do to declare the entire Democratic Party a terrorist organization that does nothing but promote illegal immigration and represents gangsters and thugs. They literally said that. So they have to have an impetus for trying to declare the Democratic Party a terrorist organization. And that's what they're saying. It's, oh, well, they're just a bunch of, when they say thugs, you know who they're talking about. Because the majority of African Americans vote for Democrats, they're now likening the entire party to a terrorist organization, meaning if you're a Democratic elected official or a candidate, you could be under the auspices of the Patriot Act and being treated like a terrorist. And while that sounds insane, Donald Trump is going to do whatever he wants to do and not worried about the political consequences if he is able to successfully declare his political opposition, the Democrats, as a terrorist organization. He has some trick up his sleeve to where he is not coming back to the center. He is not talking about governing. It's just one extreme tactic over another. And it's counterintuitive because even the most partisan of presidents try and make their way back to the middle, and they try and improve their approval ratings and their public sentiment moving into the midterm elections, because I will assure you of this. If the Democrats are able to pick up, well, they just added 5 new Republican congressional seats in Texas, and I think they're going to try and do the same thing to offset that in California. If the Democrats just pick up 6 seats out of 435, meaning out of 435 congressional districts in the country, where there currently is a Republican, especially a Trump-serving Republican, if just 6 Democrats can convince 51% of the voters in a congressional district where a Republican is now serving, the Democrats will then have the majority in the House and Hakeem Jeffries will become the Speaker. The first thing that they're going to do is they're going to start the impeachment proceedings, because I assure you, Donald Trump has done more now in his first 9 months in office that rise, not my definition, the official definition of high crimes and misdemeanors. He has done more in his first 9 months to warrant impeachment than he did in his first 4 years of his last term. Everything from wanting to fire Lisa Cook, Federal Reserve Board governor, to sending the military and militarizing domestic law enforcement, to you name it. Weaponizing the Department of Justice, using his political allies to go after his political enemies, and using the FBI to do so, not respecting the First Amendment rights of satirists and late-night comedians, and threatening ABC, that the FCC, which Donald Trump controls, ABC is not going to be able to merge with another company, because unless Donald Trump, they fire all these comedians who have been saying bad stuff about Donald Trump, he's going to get in the way of the course of business for some of these companies and corporations to merge. All of that stuff is impeachable. And Trump didn't like the first impeachments. He's going to hate these even worse. So you would think that he would act in a way that could at least maintain Republican political control of the House of Representatives, but he's not, because I think he has a plan. He's going to stop the election. They're not going to count some votes. They're going to deem in blue states and in blue cities, they're going to take federal control over our ballots. And some of this may sound far-fetched, but I also will tell you this. Did you guys think that we would be where we are as a nation in November of 2024, when you found out that Donald Trump won? Did you think that we would be where we are right now? Most of you would say no. Now, those of you that read Project 2025, even if you did read it, you probably thought that most of that stuff was impossible or far-fetched, because you believed that our federal government had some kind of guardrails or something, some kind of a stopgap to prevent Trump from doing some of these things. That there's nothing to stop him. So if we couldn't imagine where we are right now, 9 10 months ago, then imagine where we will be another year and 2 months from now when we arrive at November of 2028. How much more extreme things could potentially be. I'm going to take a break, come back. Looks like we got Tony. We'll talk to Tony on the other side. You're listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 FM. I'll be back in a couple minutes.
More of The Truth with Sherwin Hughes is next on 101.7 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
It's recognizing that there are people in the world that only have one word on their mind and heart when they become emotional and something happens to someone they like. They become irrational, they become fixated, and they do to others what they believe was done to them. The one thing everybody in America right now today, with the death of Charlie Kirk, the one thing they need to fear is retaliation.
Listen to The Truth in the Afternoon with Dr. Ken Harris every weekday from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. on 101.7 The Truth and The Truth app.
Celebrate the reigning queens of disco with Disco Divas, running at the Bradley Symphony Center September 26th through the 28th. Principal Pops conductor Byron Stripling will lead the Milwaukee Symphony Orchestra and an all-star trio of vocalists in all of your favorite hits from the disco era. Think Donna Summer, Patti LaBelle, Diana Ross, and Chaka Khan, as well as the Bee Gees, Earth, Wind & Fire, and even Michael Jackson. Those silky high strings and thumping bass lines will never sound better as you dance and sing along in your seat to tunes like I Will Survive, We Are Family, I'm Coming Out, and more. So what are you waiting for? Get those sequins out of storage and call the box office now at 414-291-7605 for Disco Divas or visit mso.org.
Ready to buy your first house, move into your forever home, or simply refinance? At Associated Bank, they've got you. With the right lending plan and guidance, you can achieve your dreams. Your financial goals are much closer than you think, and Associated Bank is excited to help you reach them. Learn more at associatedbank.com/lending or ask a banker for details. Subject to credit approval. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Experience, knowledge, results. That's what really matters when you need help after a serious truck accident. You'll need a lawyer experienced in fighting and winning for people just like you. Gruber Law Offices has the resources, strong track record of success, and a team of experienced lawyers to take care of your needs. We've successfully helped people injured in big truck accidents for more than 35 years. Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all.
Make every day extraordinary with something special from Wisconsin. From artisan cheeses to fresh produce to maple syrup, the Wisconsin Department of Agriculture, Trade and Consumer Protection's Something Special from Wisconsin program is proud to work with member businesses that certify their Wisconsin-made and processed products. Look for the red and yellow sticker and visit somethingspecialfromwisconsin.com to find member businesses and products made with care, quality, and love. Sponsored by Wisconsin DATCP.
This is The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
As Trump makes plans to send the National Guard to cities beyond Washington, he is facing a public critical of his handling of crime and his use of the military to combat it. According to a Washington Post Ipsos poll, the survey finds that Americans disapprove of Trump's performance on crime by a 10 percentage point margin and oppose him ordering the National Guard to other cities by a 4-point margin. However, Americans say they trust Republicans over Democrats on crime by a 2-to-1 margin, showing how the issue is not clear-cut. It's not a clear-cut political winner for the president's critics. Republicans also hold advantages over Democrats on the economy and immigration, though a majority still say they want Democrats to control the next Congress as a check on Trump. The findings come in a poll that, overall, paints a downbeat picture of Trump's presidency 8 months into his second term, despite a slight uptick in his overall approval rating compared with April. Americans disapprove of his performance on a broad range of issues: the economy, immigration, foreign wars, and all by double-digit margins. Tariffs on imported goods, 64% disapprove. The situation involving Russia and Ukraine, 60% disapprove. The economy, 59% disapprove. The situation with Israel and Gaza, 58% disapprove. Immigration, 55% disapprove. And the issue of crime in this country, 54% disapprove, 44% approve. Let's talk to Tony. You're on 101.7 The Truth. How are you?
Well, I'm all right. How about you?
Doing okay. What's on your mind?
I just saw from yesterday, I don't know why the Democrats sided with the Republicans in naming October 14th unanimously Charlie Kirk Day. Why would they do that?
They didn't have a choice.
Why? They didn't have a choice. They could have said no.
When I say they don't have a choice, because of how enraged the country is after witnessing somebody's assassination. I'm just going to take it on surface level because of his quote unquote political views, and he was speaking freely on a college campus, and he was murdered in front of his wife and his 2 children. Had the Democrats not, and I didn't even read anything about it because to me that's minuscule as far as the grand scheme of things, but I'm assuming politically it would have looked even worse because Republicans could have attacked the Democrats saying, oh, they can't even give credit and credence to someone who lost their lives that was using their freedom of speech with that man being Charlie Kirk. It would have been used against them. They would have looked like terrorists and and also the Democrats are under the thumb of, because the Republicans are saying that it was a left liberal Democrat that assassinated Charlie Kirk. Had they also not voted to approve his national day of mourning, holiday, birthday celebration, they would have looked like what the Republicans say they are. The ones responsible for it. It's a political move. In the grand scheme of things, it doesn't mean anything. Let me tell you why, Tony. Because none of us got to celebrate it. Now, if you want to give me a paid day off now, next October 14th, you know what I mean? Well, I mean, hey, now, you want to give a brother a paid federal holiday, I'll just go volunteer at the NAACP or something. But, that's fine.
I'm like Sister Crockett. When it comes to Congress, she's voting no. I'll take my chances, but no, I'm not going to give this guy a celebration day. I'll take my chances. No.
When more did she know? How did our Congresswoman vote?
No.
There's no way that it was universal that all, because the Republicans could pass it without a single Democratic vote. But you're saying all the Democrats in Congress?
The Senate, it hasn't got to the House yet. The Senate voted unanimously. The Congress, I don't know if they got to it yet or not, but the Senate unanimously did. Not Congress, the Senate.
So do you know if the vote was roll call or voice?
That I do not know.
Okay.
That I do not know. All I see is the word, and you may have a point now, all I see is the word unanimous. And that tells you right there that I know you made some valid points, but damn that. But somebody's got to take a stand. I'll take my chances. No.
All right.
No.
Appreciate your call, Tony. Appreciate your stance as well. All right. Yeah, I don't know if it was because if there's a voice vote, well, no, that wouldn't be unanimous. Yeah, I don't know. In the House, there will be Democrats that you may be shocked that will vote for it just because, the dude did get killed, and I'm not going to take the bait and say that he brought it on himself. I'm not saying that. I do know this much. When George Floyd was killed, people said real terrible stuff about him, and I don't know if any white conservatives lost their jobs or got canceled or anything like that. But if you share your sentiments and you express your feelings, which, remember, it's protected speech. And I just want folks to be mindful of that. If Donald Trump and his acolytes and his sycophants don't like something that you say, and what you say falls under the category of the First Amendment and protected speech, that's their problem if they don't like what you say. The whole premise of the First Amendment is we can be critical of things, including and specifically critical of our government and our elected leaders, because we put them there. Think about this for a second. How ass backwards is this? We, the people, put our elected leaders in place, but then our elected leaders are the ones telling us that we can't speak bad about them. We put them there. The whole point of the First Amendment is we elect you, and if we don't like you, we can not only vote you out, we can say bad stuff about you, we can have comedy shows about you, we can impeach you, we can talk horrible crap about you. All that stuff is protected speech. They don't get the benefit of being elected and then the privilege of representing us, but then not allowing us to share our thoughts, feelings, sentiments, and opinions about them. Like, they don't get to do that. And I don't want anyone to be intimidated, but you got to have a level of courage. This is going to test your mettle. You still have the benefit of protected speech. And if somebody does fire you, or if your job is in jeopardy, sue them. There are still sympathetic courts. When I say sympathetic courts, courts that still prioritize the First Amendment in the U.S. Constitution. Sue everybody. Sue Zech. You ain't gonna get none. Sue Rhea. You'll probably get less. Sue Kyle Wilder. Sue everybody. I'll sue Andrew. I don't know. I might get a Brewers ticket out of him. He seems to be a Brewers fan from somebody who's not here. Dude wears a Brewers hat every day. Like, hold on, player. You ain't been here long enough to wear no Brewers hat. Speak your truth as if you are living your life like 101.7. Have a great weekend. I'll see y'all next time.
This is 101.7 The Truth's Kyle Wallace, and I am Milwaukee. I take great pride in being a 414 boy and representing the city that I love. The great memories I have of going to Northtown Cinema to see movies with family and friends, to going to Capitol Court to see the Black Santa Claus, this city has helped shape me into the man that I am today, and I pledge to utilize my voice as a way to advocate for you in our community.